We're on.
We're on right now.
Ow, now, brown cow.
We are now.
I don't believe it.
Down.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome into the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. It's your boy T here.
Your boy T.
Taking over for the intro duties over here. We got Mr. Mike, the tech guy over there, setting up. Just look at that handsome face over there. Don't look too closely, though, because
You might want to sleep with
you
him.
might want to have sex with him.
Well, you might see the mustache is fake.
We got Messiah in the house. And we got
Yo.
Anthony, Mr. 645.
I think I'm 5:45 now.
5:45?
It's
Yeah.
getting earlier.
Don't ask him what he'll do with those Michelob Ultras. He might shove them somewhere. That's another episode.
Yeah.
Or
that's-
everywhere.
So we run the 40-40s.
Don't threaten me with a good time.
So the 40-40
We
episode.
still need to do that.
Yeah.
What,
We will, and we
shoving
will.
Stanzi up our ass?
Estancia. I'm shoving this Estancia. I gotta clip that.
For sure. All right, in this episode, we're just going to go over some of the headlines. We've got Mostert requests a trade, and Njoku wants out of Cleveland. Deshaun Jackson's in his fields, he's posting some stuff. It's kind of,
No, he's got to just chill out. He needs an agent,
yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
As a
so we're talking
commentator.
about that.
publicist, somebody.
And then we're going to talk about a couple of rookies that we like, and then a couple of rookies that we don't like. And that's what's up.
And that's what we're going to
Obviously,
do.
if you need to look at the table of contents, you can just clip through the episode really fast, and it'll just kind of show you where we're at. So if you just want to check out the Njoku or the Mostert information, you can just click on that. Follow us on Instagram, Twitter. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, please. It takes 1 second.
Literally.
1 second.
Por favor.
You know, I'll just tell people like, hey, can you subscribe to our YouTube channel? And they're like, I'm just like, yeah. That's why I like you. That's why I like
And that's horny, dude.
you. Yeah.
That should be a drop. That's horny.
Well, yeah.
We'll figure it out.
All right,
I think we got it.
We ready to get into these headlines?
Let's get into
All right.
the fucking headlines.
Did you guys have my headphones up? I can't hear it.
Ooh.
Oh, we got T on the sound.
You're missing out. There's
Let's
so
get it.
many
I like
awesome
it.
drops that you're missing out on, dude. If only we had a pair of headphones to
I
get
do, yeah.
We'll get some earbuds, dude. We got some earbuds.
Nah.
Uh,
No, we
All
don't.
right, fuck it then. Fuck it.
I should
All
probably.
right. What are we doing first?
All right, so
Oh,
we got Deshaun Jackson. Might have got himself in some trouble. He posts a quote. I didn't see 100% what the quote was. I just saw that he was kind of quoting something that Hitler said,
I couldn't find it.
and it was kind of some backlash he received from it. I mean, what's your guys' thoughts right here? I actually just saw something that they're saying like they could potentially trade him. I don't know if that's true or not. You're gonna trade him after posting something like that, but
Keeping it football related, I mean,
They
they were
can.
saying they were going to cut him, but they haven't. But it's just, I don't know.
I mean, they drafted enough to do it. They drafted, what, 2 guys? 3 guys. They drafted 3 guys. So, and they all are speed dudes.
I think if Alshon was healthy, it'd make a difference too.
Yeah.
I think that's part of the reason they're like, okay, we need a veteran because we do have, Rager, the rookies, Goodwin
Quez,
coming in, and we
Hightower.
don't have Jeffrey here to start the season potentially. So it's almost like they are somewhat like hamstrung, where it's like, had they had like a couple guys there minus their tight ends who are basically receivers,
Yeah.
sure. It would. I feel like it could have been a different scenario, but definitely something that's like we could see potential for a change in the next couple of weeks, depending on some factors. That they said as of right now, they're saying they're not going to cut him, but I don't know.
I think if I'm I'm the Eagles, I'm just like being like, okay, let's just let this blow over. I don't want to deal like I feel like it's something like that they're just gonna try and avoid over time. So fantasy implications, I don't think we'll have any, but it would be interesting if they do get rid of him.
Yeah, they better not trade him.
Yeah.
He played 1 game with them last year and had 50 yards and 2 tugs, and they won. Like, I mean, their offense was different the minute he got hurt, which was literally minutes into the game. But yeah, they'd be dumb. They have a bunch of rookie guys, and it's a short off season with all these with all this shit going on. You would need a veteran presence, like Anthony said, and he's got a rapport with Carson Wentz. Like, you can tell by just 1 game. So it would be dumb. And plus, they already dealt with this situation with Riley Cooper a few years ago when he said something else that he shouldn't have said. If you remember that, at a bar, and they didn't cut him. So
Yeah, but it's a lot different now.
yeah,
so it's,
well, and I feel like they would look worse now if they were to do it because
yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
he said that, and granted, it doesn't make it any better, but I feel like for their PR, it would be bad if they let him go for that instead of just keeping him. The statement was pretty hard. You know, they told him they talked to him, but I would say keep him around. I mean, just for this year. I'm sure after this year they won't retain him anyway. So
I think fantasy wise, like you were saying, it's like they lack veteran like depth to like even make a move on it. It's almost like if they had a deep wide receiver core, they could be like, you know what, and they needed some cap space, they could cut him, but they don't really have much that we know of yet behind him. So it's almost like they have to keep him. So from a fantasy perspective, this doesn't change anything on the football field because you're not like dropping back and be like, you know what, remember when he said that? The ball's going somewhere else.
Yeah, for sure.
It's like you're trying to win games, so it's like fantasy-wise, it doesn't change much. Can he stay on the field? I don't know. That's the main thing with Deshaun Jackson.
And they say the two biggest positions to acclimate from college to NFL is center and wide receiver. Just so many things you have to learn. So in this offseason, all these rookies are a step behind, except for the elite guys, you know, the CDs and the Judys. But all these other guys, it's going to take them a little longer because the shortened training camp and all that, that's going to affect them. If you're not like
no preseason now either.
Yeah, that's what they're doing. And they only said, I think, 11 days of pads or 8 days of pads. Like, that's not a lot to learn. Like, filming shit is one thing, but being out there is another. So
essentially, if your name doesn't end with the E, you're behind the curve. Whether it's Judy or CD.
It's Judy, CD, or
BD, or CD.
Or
Geedy.
Yeah, I mean, I read something that they want Rager to really like follow Deshaun's role in a sense, you know, and really have him learn from Deshaun and you know kind of to be that guy in a sense.
Man.
So I mean, yeah, I think it'd be bad for them if they were to like cut him or trade him because I think again he posted what he posted. I think he thought it meant one thing or he was interpreting it one way. Obviously, other people can look at it on the opposite spectrum, which was, you know, bad for him in that sense. But I think if they were to like cut him or trade him, then it just looks bad on the Eagles, like, you know, especially what's all going on and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So
You saw what Edelman
fantasy
said,
wise,
right?
though, it's not going to affect it. Like it's like,
You heard Edelman, how he reached out to him?
Yeah.
Told him, you know, which is cool. You know, take him out to the.
I mean, and like you know,
Museum of-
Deshaun Jackson's never really caused too much trouble. You know
No.
what I'm saying? He's not always out there really, you know, causing trouble or
He's
or
not making like
being in a
AB
locker room,
headlines or
yeah.
something.
Well, they tried to say that one when he was like a free agent, the Eagles the first time, remember?
Yeah.
Talk about he's like a thug or all this and that, but
he was in the table next to me at rehab. I'm not gonna. No comment.
I mean he's been in the league for 11.
No comment.
He's been in the league for 11 years and he's been under the radar for the most part. So, I mean, not everyone's fucking perfect. There's a lot of dudes that don't get caught. So, I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. Hey, you know what? He's from LA, man. Let
It's
him
kind of weird
stay.
that like most people like doing a podcast. Like we actually have seen a lot of like these football players like come through like our nightclubs and day clubs, and it's like there's a lot of people who do like fantasy football podcasts, but it's like I used to almost take it for granted. I used to like have like football players all the time. I'd have like these guys and just be like, oh, it's just another NFL player.
Yeah.
I mean, it's different to see them out of their element. It's funny, just it makes you realize that they're regular.
I mean, when you
dudes.
see them too, they're still like generally speaking, they're still young 20-year-old kids. So it's like, I mean,
That's when
Now we're getting old, but he's older than us still.
I noticed that. Well, yeah, I mean, I elbowed Odell Beckham Jr. in the head when he got drafted.
dude, that's just 'cause you're so tall and you just look.
No,
down
I
at
was
everybody.
carrying. You know how you do presentations for prezos for
Yeah.
things. Well, there was guys in my way, and so I remember I elbowed this guy in the back of the head really hard, and I like put the girls down, and someone's like, "Dude, you just elbowed Odell Beckham Jr." And I was like, "What?" I didn't even realize.
And you're like green light. Dun, 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 dun.
He's probably drinking Henny. He's a big Henny dude.
Yeah, I don't know. It was
Dude,
a
sometimes
while
you
ago.
elbow Odell in the back of the head.
Yeah, sometimes you.
Yeah,
You know,
it's
you
pretty
get out.
interesting.
Maybe that's why he got a hernia. He elbowed him so hard.
He's about to ball though, hopefully. But
Yeah.
Well, shall we jump into the next thing? What do we got? Some people want to get traded. They're unhappy.
oh man, yeah,
What you
trades.
think? So you got Mostert wants to request a trade. I should have looked up what his contract was.
No, I
but
got it,
think
no.
he's like it's like nothing, right? He's making
No.
like the what does he make special teams?
No. So it's
salary, right?
well, this one's a little interesting because he just signed before this year just started. He signed a 3-year, $8.7 million deal literally before the season started. So it's not that bad, but now that he balled, he wants to get more. He literally just signed it. So I read the article today. They said the Niners have the leverage. They just paid him out, but now based on what he did, he wants another deal. But from what I read, the new CBA says that if you miss more than 5 or 6 voluntary days, you can start getting fined. And it's like basically the way the contract language is, it's not in his favor. But he's demanding a trade anyway.
Yeah.
Because they don't want to pay him. And I know I was telling you guys, it makes it more interesting because they paid unrestricted free agent Savon Ahmed. They gave him a $3 million contract on 2 years, and he's an unrestricted free agent. So, I mean, they had money, but you know how Shanahan is. I read a stat. He had 3 running backs this past season that all had at least 123 carries. So he doesn't really need a big, a main horse. He can use 3-4 guys. So
He's got a stable.
he's not really worried. I thought I said fire up Devontae Freeman and say fuck it. That's another one. He's like, come through.
like you said, they have so many running backs there.
So
I
many.
mean, you still have Tevin Coleman, who I think a lot of people are sleeping on.
Yeah.
I mean, you still have Jerick McKinnon if he can come back and just be healthy. Jeff Wilson, they draft JaMychal Hasty, the guy you just talked about.
And then Ahmed.
Ahmed. So I mean, I don't know. I think he did good. So obviously it's like, hey, you want to get paid because you did good. But I'm not necessarily sure if he's good or if he's just a product of the system. Because I just think that any running back there could be good. Like,
It's hard to game plan when you have like 4 really good running backs and they don't even have their main guy.
I feel like he has to posture if you're from his perspective and his agent's perspective. He's 28 or 29 years old. He's
28. He's a journeyman.
He's an older running back. So it's like you had a good season. You had a breakout. You had the second most rushing yards in a touch or playoff game or something stupid like that. His agent was like, oh, he's had the highest yards per carry in the league. So it's like you almost have to try and get the most out of the situation. But realistically, who's going to trade for a 28-year-old running back who had a flash in the pan? Like, oh, yeah, let's give up a second-round pick for Raheem Mostert. He's not going anywhere. Like, I hate to sound cocky about this, but he's not going anywhere. It's like no GM is going to be like, yeah, let's go get 28-year-old Raheem Mostert.
and then pay him what he
Pay
wants.
him what he wants to get paid. So it's like it's just him posturing, trying to get the most he can get out of it. That's my personal opinion. I feel like there's a pretty good percentage I'm right. If I'm wrong, I'll eat it. I'll eat it soundly. But I mean, I'm just saying, like I just don't think he's going anywhere. So to me, this is
It was not a flub.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes.
he has a leverage, or he thinks he has a leverage. So I looked from week 12 on, he was second in the NFL with 760 rushing yards. He had a touchdown in every game from there on out, and the only person that outrushed him was Derrick Henry. But even then, it's like that, like T said, that could be the system because we had Coleman have week 3-4 had that 4 touchdown game and balled. We've seen Breida be an undrafted free agent and do well for 2 years. So I mean, it could be the play calling. That's why he's probably not tripping. He's like, bro, you're 28 years old. Like, I'm really not sweating you like that.
Yeah,
I mean, he did run for 220 and 4 touchdowns against the Packers, but he could have easily put in Tevin Coleman and he probably would have done it.
Yeah, I think he, obviously he balled out towards the end, but I mean, Tevin Coleman was banged up towards the end of the year, so it's almost like, okay, like, do you put in Tevin Coleman who's at 75%, or do you put in Raheem Mostert who's at 100%, and he's a hot hand, so
he's
it's like, so now you're just
100%.
gonna keep feeding him, He's
Hansel. So hot
Tevin
right
Coleman's
now.
banged
So
up a lot.
hot right
so
now.
hot right now.
He's like Hansel.
And if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, he was except when they didn't use him, the Super Bowl when he was doing well. But whatever.
Let me ask you this though. So I think this is one of the trickiest
5 yards per carry in the Super Bowl,
backfields to
12
really
carries,
dictate. I think
fucking
that he's going to be
whatever.
drafted really high compared to what he did last year. But like I said, I feel like people are sleeping on Tevin Coleman.
For sure.
And you're still going to get Jerick McKinnon back in some sense. I mean, they paid the guy $20+ million, even though he hasn't played a
get me
single
started.
game or a snap. He's still got all of that 20-something million guaranteed.
Bum.
So
They
you would think
restructured it.
you would think that.
Yeah. After he restructured his fucking knee 3 times, they restructured it. Fucking bum.
But you
I'm
think,
so mad
but you
about
think that they would want to get him incorporated if he can stay on the
Yeah,
field. So this is looking like a 3-man backfield, in my opinion. So like, what, are you guys touching anyone here? Like, are you? I mean, who do you like in this backfield if you're gonna take somebody?
I don't think McKinnon's good. So for me, he's out of the picture. I've never liked him. Even
mean,
when he got
I've-
the deal, I
was furious when we signed him, wasting all that money.
He's
You could have
just-
given it to me. Look, I haven't torn my knee one fucking time in 2 years.
He's basically to me. He's been a spark freak who
fuck?
can't do it on the field. He's just been before when he went. The reason I wasn't touching him when he was 12th, he was ranked 12th or 13th, and me, I don't even know if we were doing the podcast. We might have just started the podcast.
that was when he went to the
But I
Niners
was just
initially.
he couldn't even beat out who was the running back, Toby Gerhart.
Yeah.
He couldn't even beat out these running backs.
Matt Asiata,
and
the
yeah,
vulture.
I was like,
himself.
Matt Ozzie.
Yeah, he
Vulture
wasn't a good
himself.
running back, so it's he was just a spark guy. So it's after 2 knee injuries and these injuries, you'd think he's going to come back and be better. No. So to me, he's kind of irrelevant to the picture. It comes down to Tevin Coleman. It comes down to Raheem Mostert, and then you could even have Jeff Wilson Jr. in the picture. So to me, yes, there could be a 3-headed committee. McKinnon's out of it. It's never going to be a full workhorse thing, but there is some upside with Mostert.
Yeah, in redraft, yeah, for sure. Tevin, Dynasty, we talked about Hasty. I mean, you got to get the young guys, especially in this offense. if you're a running back and you go to the Niners, you're licking your chops because all you got to do is show it in practice. Shanahan has no problem playing anybody. I mean, Breed, like we said, it's if you're good, you're going to play, and then if you produce, you're good.
And I think Coleman's kind of shown that he's not the workhorse guy. He's better to be
Like a change of pace.
no, not necessarily change of pace, but he's better to be a split back where it's like he's sharing the load with someone. I don't think he's the guy that it's going to be. It's he had chances in Atlanta when Freeman went down, and he had the chance to take the load, and he essentially had it in the beginning of the year. He has gotten banged up, so it's kind of shown that he's not the guy who could take the full workload. So it's going to be a committee, and it's whether it's Mostert or Coleman. I kind of lean that Mostert has shown that he can be the lead back in the committee.
If they trade him,
Coleman
though,
has
it's
some
Coleman.
history. Oh yeah,
Do you
if
feel
they trade him, yeah.
comfortable? Because I feel like Mostert's been going in like the 4th or 5th round in a lot of these mock drafts, where Coleman's been going in like the 7th or 8th round. So it's like, what are you spending? Are you burning a 4th round pick on Mostert?
No.
Value-wise, no, I'd take Coleman.
I'm taking David Johnson in the 4th.
Yeah, I just don't see me taking any
Coleman
of them. Any of them.
I mean, I personally think that from a talent standpoint, we've seen Coleman get it done.
For sure. And
Multiple years, multiple teams. So Mostert was like a 5, 6, 7 game stretch out of nowhere. So if I'm looking from a pure talent standpoint, I still think Tevin Coleman is the more talented running back. I think, like I said, Mostert was just kind of the guy. I mean, Coleman came in, he was banged up. I think it was like the ankle in the beginning of the year, then it was a shoulder or something like that.
Yeah.
So, he was just banged up. And like I said, I think that's where the depth of the team just really came in. And the system, just really took over. And it was like, okay, anyone who's getting the ball back there could perform. But, I mean, me personally, I'm kind of avoiding this whole backfield. Like, it's almost like, I'm like I know how you talk. You touch on the Buccaneers running backs, like you just hate them. Like, that's kind of, it's like there's value here, but do I want to be playing Russian roulette every week? Like, Mostert comes out one week, he gets 20 carries, 120 yards, 2 touchdowns. So then you start him next week, and then next week's Tevin Coleman, 18 carries, 120 yards, and a touchdown, and Mostert gets 10 carries for 40 yards.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's just like, it's so unpredictable to me. I'll just take a chance if I'm going to gamble on one of them. I'll take a chance on Coleman in the later rounds that maybe he can actually just really kind of take over and be that guy. Because I feel like when Coleman was there was a stretch where he was getting 20 carries a week, and I went out and traded for him in a couple leagues. So I thought, I was like, oh man, this guy's going to ball. But I don't know, just maybe got banged up. Maybe the hot hand, Mostert was coming through, but they still had Breida at that time. Jeff Wilson was coming in and vulturing things too. But yeah, I like Coleman. I think he's still pretty talented, and I would take him over the 2 if I had to pick one or the other.
Yeah, I think when it comes to value base, I would take Coleman. Yeah. This is where I'll take Mostert, is if I avoid the early running back just because of the way the draft falls and I go receivers, I'm going to shoot for high upside running backs.
Yeah.
So he's the guy where it's like, I know we've done some mocks and you're saying 4th, 5th, but I think realistically he's more of a 5th, 6th round pick, kind of thinking about it. He just doesn't have that name. So if I go receiver and then I go running back and then receiver, I'm like, okay, I got to shoot some high upside running backs here.
Yeah.
That's when I'll target him. If I already have running backs, he's not going to be someone I'm going to target. I'm going to target receiver or tight end or maybe a potential quarterback that I like is maybe my top 5 quarterbacks, something like that. But that's a scenario where I will take a shot on him if he's the 5th or 6th rounder and I'm like, I need an upside guy because to your point, Coleman got the workload. He was okay with it when he did it. Mustard, whatever you want to call him. He showed some potential elite potential. Coleman's never really shown elite potential. So you want to go to who can be a breakout true like top 12 back. He has that upside if he can do it. I don't think Coleman has that. That's why I'll take
Coleman
a shot
had a 4 touchdown game.
Yeah, but anyone get. I mean, not anyone get a 4 touchdown game, but like you watch him on a basis, he wasn't like an elite back. He flashed elite back. Yeah. Coleman hasn't done it for 5 years.
Jay Ajayi had a 4 touchdown game.
Yeah.
Didn't
I mean, he had a better stretch than that. I think it's because Shanahan is really good at finding player strengths and working to that strength. Whether it's like game to game, week to week. That's why it's probably so strange or like so hard to pick them because. 1 week he's like, this team, they're worse at this type of run play. And he's really good at it, so they'll use it. And that's probably why he uses multiple backs. So while you guys were talking about like redraft, for sure, but this is a perfect situation to bring up dynasty in when you're drafting a running back because this type of situation, there's so many. You have McKinnon after this year, he's done because he had a 3-year deal. Tevin Coleman, he has a 2-3 year deal. He could be done after this year. And then you have Jeff Wilson Jr., who they're not tied to, and then they have 2 unrestricted free agents. So when you're looking at dynasty, this is where you want to look and see what rookies, because even and this could be any team or any position. You always, when you're drafting, you want to look at the team they go to and then look at their contract situation. So if they have the Raiders, for example, they have Tyrell Williams. After this year, he's a free agent. They're not going to re-sign him. They got Brian Williams. They got Ruggs. So you want to try to look ahead and look at what teams and how their contracts are set up so you can draft guys that are going to be up next.
Yeah.
Like Quintez Cephas for the Lions. Not the best, but he's in a good situation because they have Amendola and Marvin Jones as free agents. Maybe they bring both back, but if they don't, he's like going to be up next. So keep an eye out for that. But for redraft, yeah, I would take probably Coleman in the round that he's at over Mostert because of you can get similar results.
Because of the value.
Yeah, value.
Yeah.
I mean, for sure. Now, if he goes to like the Bucks and they use him as a dog as their number one, Mostert could be a beast.
Yeah. Well, I think Anthony's pretty spot on. I think it's unrealistic that someone's going to give up some draft capital, and then on top of that, now you have to pay him what he wants. I don't think anyone's going to really want to pay him that.
The only
sum.
team I
No.
could see doing that is like the Chargers, and just giving like a 1-year deal with him and Eckler,
Yeah.
or some wild where they just want a 1-2 punch and they don't like Justin Jackson, like something like that, something random. But yeah, that's going to be difficult to see.
Yeah.
or
So
to work
most
out.
likely he probably won't get traded, but let's transition to a guy who, I mean, I think he realistically could get traded, but you got Njoku. He's not happy with the Browns going out and getting Austin Hooper, and they pay like Hooper like $11 million a year.
Yeah.
They exercised the 5th-year option for Njoku, but
And they drafted a tight end.
he doesn't want to be there. So I think this is more of a realistic possibility for if one of the two are going to get traded.
For sure.
So I mean, what's your guys' thoughts with this? What good landing spots? I mean, who needs a tight end? I was thinking honestly.
My boy said the
The
Patriots.
Patriots.
Patriots,
With
yeah.
Cam. I mean, you know how the Patriots are, bro. They'll finagle something. Like, hey, we'll give you a 4th-round pick for him. Guy's a former 1st-round draft pick, you know, and I don't know. You pair him with Cam, and I think.
Something to prove to guys.
You know me. I hate the Patriots, but
He could definitely
it looks
Eric
like it would
Ebron
work
it.
to me.
Yeah, for sure.
He got Eric Ebron it where he's had like pedestrian lines for 4 or 5 years, and he goes to a team that gets opportunity.
Yeah.
And he just, I don't want to say balls out, but has a productive fantasy year.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's tough because I think the coaching wants to run 2 tight end sets, so it's like if they do trade him, I'm more hyped on the wide receiver core, just because of the share of target volume. But I don't know. I
agree. Like Stefanski last year, they had Irv Smith. They go out and draft him, and then
And he did well.
and then you're thinking like, okay, it might be the end of Kyle Rudolph there in Minnesota. But then they signed him to an extension. So yeah, they do want to run that. Double tight
That's
end
why I'm
type of
having a
set.
hard time visualizing them trading him, because the coach wants it. Maybe the player wants it. So now it's coming down to, okay, like, what do we got to do to keep him happy? I want 2 tight ends in the system. They want to run the ball. That's why as much as I think Kareem Hunt has a role, I'm having such a hard time fading Chubb outside of a certain point, because I think they're going to run the ball a lot and be effective. And he's, we've posted some stats in our chat of how effective he is. So
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just I'm having a hard time seeing it because of the coach, and I think the coach wants that 2 tight end system. Can it happen? Yeah. And if he goes somewhere, he could definitely ball out. But I'm more on the side of that the coach is going to try and keep him there because that's his system and that's what he wants. That's my personal opinion. If I was a coach and I have a guy that's going to fit my 2 tight end system, I want that there.
Yeah.
We got in the chat Njoku to the Cardinals.
That's what I was gonna say that, but which wouldn't be bad. But they have Dan Arnold, who's,
And they run, what is it, 0 personnel, right? Like
they went four wide more than anybody else.
like
That'd be a good spot right there to the Cardinals.
Yeah. But I mean, as far as I think the reason they're going to trade him is Harrison Bryant is actually, granted he's a rookie, but I liked him coming out. He's a FAU. I think the craziest stat that I read, granted he went to the Senior Bowl and he balled. Like the big thing with him was they were like, the competition level. He went there and did his thing. The craziest thing that I read was, dude, his tight ends coach was a fucking science teacher at the university. So it wasn't like a football guy. It was like a teacher who literally would be like, hey, do this. All right, I got to go fucking grade papers. Like it wasn't a dude who was like breathing football, but that was his coach and he was balling.
Yeah.
Enough to go, he went drafted decent and he's an athletic kid and another thing that I thought was impressive with him is he was a high school O-lineman who transitioned to tight end. So he instead of the other way around, usually guys can't do it and they go to O-line. He went from O-lineman to tight end. So he lost the weight and he's still athletic. So I think he's more like looking at like Irv Smith. He's like, you know what? Fuck you, Njoku. I have this rookie who's more than willing to learn, and he has him for a year. I mean, look, Irv Smith was a rookie, and he did perfectly fine with him.
Yeah.
So I think he saw that, and that's what I think. Njoku gets hurt all the time, and he's a bum.
He can go to the Texans.
He's a bum.
The Texans would be a good spot too. They have Darren Fells, right?
I'm reading your
No, they
I'm
have
reading your
a no.
comments.
Oh,
Those are some good ones though.
That's not bad. Yeah, I'm like,
no. They have a sleeper tight end over there already.
Yeah. Well, let's just say this. So I
From
know
LSU.
when we did our early tight end rankings, we all had Hooper kind of low. Just we're talking about how the system of leaving that Falcons passing attack to go into more of like, I guess you would say, like more of like a run heavier offense. They go out and they address the offensive line in the draft and in free agency. So they really want to ground and pound the ball. So we had Hooper ranked kind of lower, like 10th, 11th round area. So let's say they do trade Njoku. Is that boosting Hooper's value up just a little bit, or are you saying that you think it's more towards like Landry and OBJ?
I think it's
I've
Landry,
kind of
OBJ.
actually boosted Hooper up a little bit and bumped Landry down a little bit because of the two. Landry's not the outside receiver type. I mean, he is, but he isn't.
Yeah.
And he's going to be playing. I think he had like 60. I heard a stat. He had like 45 or 50 receptions last year in the slot specifically. This is going to be more of a two wide receiver like. He's going to be outside a lot more than he is. So I actually bumped his targets down slightly a little bit and gave Hooper a little bit of a bump. So I was doing that without that. So if they do trade him, yes, it's gonna actually give him even more of a bump.
For Hooper.
Yeah, I kind of adjusted to the system. I said I'm not fading Landry like a drastically, but I did give a little bit of a bump down to him. I'm talking maybe 5-10 targets down for Landry, just because the way I think the system's going to run.
Me, I think it's more the other way. I also read the Cleveland Browns actually sent Kareem Hunt, the wide receiver, part of the wide receiver playbook, because they want him to kind of work out of the slot. So I think maybe that's why they're doing it, if they were to do it, because I know you're big on like tight end running back targets. So if they do get rid of Njoku, I think it's going to be more of like a wide receiver, even more Kareem Hunt to get him a few more targets.
Yeah.
Because I thought that was interesting. I think I read that 2 days ago where they were like, hey, they want to implement him in like in the slot, like motioning him out, just seeing like if they can pick a man coverage and line him up with like a linebacker. So I thought that would be my logic
Even that would potentially hurt Landry's kind of value because that's where Landry operates and at his most efficient.
Yeah.
So if they are putting Hunt in the slot more and keeping Landry outside, Landry's not that outside X type of receiver. So if he's lining up there a lot more, that does hurt his efficiency value. So if that's the truth too, it kind of if it is true, it's small tick down a little bit again.
It's just more. I know Stefanski's like good at he's like offensive mind, so I know he's big on he's gonna put Hunt, Chubb, Landry, and OBJ. He'll line them up there, and if he sees some, he'll motion them out.
A lot of weapons.
Yeah.
in
I mean,
Browns
they
offense.
are, dude. They're probably one of the most offensive as far as weapons. They have the best weapons, even more than the Ravens. The Ravens ain't got shit at receiver. You know what I mean?
What about Devin the Dude?
They got Hollywood Brown, who's like hurt every other week. But I mean, anybody would take OBJ and Jarvis.
I hear a lot of like
Sure.
I heard a lot of like
know?
experts or whatever like Chubb's gonna be a bust, this and that, but it's like if you actually break down the stats and look at what he's done, it's hard to imagine him going under two in the offensive style they're gonna run. It's not like they're gonna be back there throwing 650 times. It's hard to imagine a world where Nick Chubb gets under 270 carries.
And doesn't
Even
run
with
for-
You're
Kareem
not worried
Hunt.
about Kareem Hunt?
Even with him involved. Yeah.
I saw Matthew Berry posted something. He does like that 100 stats or whatever. So it was like I think Chubb was RB. I don't know, 5. I can't remember. I could pull it up. He's like it's one of the top elite running backs.
I'll tell you right.
Before Kareem Hunt. When Kareem Hunt came back, he was RB 26. Chubb was, and Kareem Hunt was RB 27. So they're pretty much splitting it.
There's also a different coach, different system.
Different for sure.
Yeah.
100%.
And Freddie Kitchens is in the kitchen cooking up losses right
I'm
now because
having
he's
a hard
bum.
time really, gauging on Chubb on where I want. Like, am I willing to spend a first round draft pick on him? I don't think so, but maybe in like that turn in the second round, I think I might have to just because, we keep seeing all these numbers. Like you just said, we're in a group chat and it's the craziest stats for Chubb are like, just being a monster. And like I said, they really went out and addressed that offensive line. They get Jedrick Willis from Alabama, Jack Conklin from the Titans. So I think this offensive line is going to be really good. And this offense, if you watch, I did a Baker, one of my sleepers. He was my sleeper. But, this offense really wants to work off of play action. So what do you got to do? You got to feed the rocks to Chubb, and then boom, play action to a Landry, OBJ, or Hooper.
And we also don't know how they're going to use him in the passing game yet. That's also an X factor. Chubb was never like a bad passing.
He can catch it.
Yeah, he was touted as like a good pass catching back. So it's like now we have a coach. Do they use him in the passing game?
36 catches last year is fine.
I mean, there's potential for him to see 40. If he sees 40, 50 catches, and as efficient as he was, and last year his red zone efficiency was a fluke. It's going to go up for sure.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
He's someone I'm having a hard time like actually fitting him in because if he gets another 300 and he catches 40, I don't care about the touchdowns. He's finishing in the top 7.
Well, yeah, I mean, we saw the stat for was it 20-yard runs? He had 38 or 39.
Yeah, there's always a ton of crazy stats, and
When he was,
Chubb is always like right there.
I know he was the highest rated running back on outside zone runs, which is literally what they're running. I mean,
Yeah.
it's between the tackles. I know I read he had 2.3 yards after contact. I mean, everything leads to him doing
It's just
well. I mean, it wouldn't
impressive
make
how
sense.
bad the line was and how and the offense.
wouldn't
the
even
offense
know.
wasn't really gelling, so I would like to think that it's going to take a stride forward. So yeah, you just think like if he could do that when things weren't running at like the optimal speed or pace.
Yeah.
What can he do when things are really meshing and when things are really gelling?
Yeah.
But-
And it's been consistent for 2 years. His numbers aren't. It's not like it's a 1 year thing where you see with some running backs where it's like, oh, he made X amount of players miss or he did it breakaway runs. It's like since he's been in the league, it has been nonstop. Nick Chubb has dominated from a explosive standpoint, big play standpoint, yards after contact. I don't think it's stopping.
Yeah,
no,
So
he's
it's hard to like put him out of sight of a certain level.
We said he's the only player PFF has rated over 90 for his first 2 years at running back. He's the only player since they started. I mean, yeah, I don't
I
see.
should have prepped some Nick Chubb videos.
Yeah,
I know
we
were
were
gonna go
like
this
35
deep.
minutes on Nick
Yeah,
Chubb.
I don't see him.
We're
getting
all
worse.
chubbed up.
I mean, that's my guy. I don't see him getting worse.
I like it.
I mean, he was a Derrick Henry 1 month run of craziness away from leading the NFL in rushing with a dog shit O line. So Kareem Hunt's gonna get his. I think he'll still get his 140 touches, whether it's in a mixture of carries and catches. But I just think all the weapons are gonna help him. I mean, he might get 7 or 8 touchdowns himself.
Yeah,
but
for sure. All right, so yeah, we'll see. We just got to monitor it. Obviously, like I said, if Njoku
Fucking
does get
Browns.
moved, it'll obviously dictate, a little bit Hooper's value, receivers' value, stuff like that. And then, like I said, if he goes to somewhere like the Pats or even like the Cardinals, maybe Njoku could be a guy because I mean he's not really a blocking tight end. He's more of like a big body, wide receiving tight end.
his
so.
combine numbers were stupid for sure. But he drops the easy balls though.
Yeah.
His combine numbers were
He's a
like
joke on
low SAT scores, right, guys?
Yeah. We didn't come here to play school.
He's a freak.
What was his combine?
Cordell Jones. Oh.
What was his combines? Were
Fuck
they dumb fire?
They were fucking stupid.
I thought you were talking about Cordell Jones, where he's like, "It's the quarterback, right?" We didn't come here to play school. I'm like, what? It doesn't even make sense, Cordell. Get back inside.
Yeah, get your ass inside.
He got a lot of shashesh around, baby.
Why is everyone so
All right,
fucking
baby, what we got
stupid?
next? Let's get it rolling.
All right, let's get it.
Go, baby. All right, we're going into rookies. Oh, wait, whoops. Rookies we love. We're gonna
Rookies we
start.
love.
We're gonna start off with Tyler's favorite rookie.
John Cena.
John Cena is my favorite rookie. I'm just kidding.
Dude, when he wears that shorts on the field, those jean shorts,
I love
there's no stopping him.
I love
Can't
the
even-
titles. I love the titles of these highlight videos. It says a DB's nightmare.
He is a DB's nightmare. So
Okay.
yeah, my guy right here, Michael Pittman Jr., gets drafted in the second round, 34th overall. I mean, here's the guy where I feel like it was such a deep class in terms of like
So deep.
the wide receivers of it. Yeah, so deep.
sure.
But
Like
I
deep.
honestly think that he's one of the most like safest, can't miss kind of guys. I mean, his dad was Michael Pittman Sr. played for the Bucks, so I mean, you got to think his dad's gonna really mentor him on like how to be a professional.
the
Like, hey,
pedigree.
this is the pedigree, like, and what it takes to be in the league and how to stay in the league and maintain that high ability. But yeah, I just love Michael Pittman. 6'4", 220, ran a 4.5, 240. I mean, like, he just reminds me of like a Mike Evans. Like, he's got the Galladay type of body and like the metrics, the numbers. Vincent Jackson was someone who told me one time that was actually a pretty good one, I thought, too, as
Yeah.
well.
For sure.
And like one thing I like about him is like the guy's got hands. Like if he gets his hands on the ball, he's not dropping it. I think it's 2.7% drop rate was the lowest out of the entire 2020 draft class for wide receiver. So like I said, if he gets his hands on it, he's coming down with it.
Most of the time.
Yeah, I mean, T.Y. Hilton's in his last year of his contract. He's making $15 million this year, but I mean, at 31 years old, are the Colts going to look to re-up him and pay him another $15 million a year for the next 3-4 years, or maybe we could really see the emergence of a guy like Michael Pittman. They still have Paris Campbell, so maybe they could move on from T.Y. Hilton after this year, and now going forward, you're looking at Paris Campbell and Pittman Jr. as the 1A and 1B almost in a sense for in Indianapolis. So yeah, I just love Michael Pittman. Like I said, I just think he's one of those guys like he can't miss. I think he's going to be one of those rookies where he's going to play 99% of the snaps. I can't imagine a scenario where he's not really on the field.
He should be.
You lose Ebron, who was a red zone, probably their best red zone guy.
Yeah.
So he turns into the de facto red zone guy. I mean, even if the targets aren't through the roof, you know, he's not getting 100+ targets. I mean, we saw 1 year with Mike Williams and Phillip Rivers, you know, only 66 targets. I know it was kind of like a fluke, but I mean, 10 touchdowns on 66 targets. So, but just another big body guy where, I mean, you just got to throw it up to him, and, you know, his contested catch rate was really good as well. So, yeah, love me some Michael Pittman Jr. Definitely going to be trying to get him in every one of my redraft leagues, and then the dynasty leagues. I know we're all going to be doing a startup dynasty league.
Should be
so
interesting.
yeah, boys, definitely going to be
Similar to like the guy I chose too is like you have such a late round draft pick and you have such a high potential upside. It's like I'm going to have a lot of shares of Michael Pittman if you don't get him before me or someone else. Listen to the podcast. Because it's like he has a path to
The path of least resistance.
I don't know. Yeah, he has a path to. I don't know if he could overtake Ty this year, but Ty. The reason me and Dre don't have him, we didn't have him very high in our preseason rankings is like he hasn't stayed healthy.
Yeah.
If he goes down, which we and Dre kind of are on the side of, that's very possible. That path to the number 1 wide receiver in a good offensive line team with a good
Number 1.
good running offense as well, with a pretty good defense, to being the number 1 receiver is very, very clear, and it could very easily happen. So there's potential to have a late round steal, and it's like with him, I don't see why you don't take the chance on him. In week 1, like you said, if he's, you know, I kind of see him being the starter outside as well. Week 1, if he plays 20% of snaps, you're wasting a 13th, 14th round pick. You could drop him.
Yeah.
And when Ty gets hurt, you pick him back up.
For sure.
So it's like, but like I said, I love everything. Everything you said, I agree with. And it's like, why not take the shot on someone like this? This is the type of receivers that could potentially win you your league or help you win the league with that late of a draft pick.
I mean, the guy's massive. Like I said, you know, especially if you're like in dynasty, you know, Ty might not be there after this year, so that he could be the main guy in that passing attack for years and years to come.
And you play in the league like we play, like where you get to keep one player. He's gonna be someone you fade up a round or two.
Yeah.
I always say go get your guys a round or two early, because after like this, I mean, realistically speaking, after the 8th round, you can take a 14th round pick in the 9th if you believe in them.
Yeah.
I personally do that. I don't give a shit. So it's like, you know, if he's someone you believe in, like, you know, if like let's just say, Tyler, you're looking at him and like you're like, okay, I get to keep one player next year. I can get Michael Pittman 2 rounds later, but I think Ty's gone next year. And I want Michael Pittman, and I think he'd be the number 1 next year. And I think Phillip Rivers is going to be there. Go get him 2 rounds early if you're in a keeper type of league.
Yeah.
Don't wait. Don't fuck around. If you believe in him, go get him.
Bro, you're gassing me up now, dude. I'm going to have to draft him first round.
Hey,
I'll take Michael Pittman in the 5th round.
Yo, that always happens to me. Is Tyler just like, I swear he's so convincing when he talks about certain players, and I'm like, oh, dude, I think I'm gonna snake this guy from Tyler. I don't mean to. You just are really
convincing.
Dude, right before the draft, Tyler's going to gas you about
just to
players
piss
he
him off.
doesn't want.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you feel about him, Dre? I know you're a USC guy, so you've definitely got to like him.
No, yeah, I mean, everything you guys said. The one thing I do like that is, I mean, his dad's already been there, so we can help him out with, like, the off-season shit. You just show him the nuances as far as, like, being a pro. But I like guys that have been, you know, 4-year players. I mean, he's seen all kinds of coverages. He's been there for 4 years. He was extremely productive, had over 100 catches as a senior. You talked about the drop rate. What I was impressed with was his speed. I mean, 4.5 at that big, at that size is, I mean, you can't teach speed, so I think the more he plays, the more he learns the NFL game, the game speed, I don't see him not doing well. I mean, landing spot was perfect too. Yeah. Phillip Rivers likes throwing it up. He needs somebody to throw it up to, and I mean, this is going to be his guy for sure. He's going to see the field. They signed Devin Funches last year. This fool's better than Devin Funches with his eyes closed, I feel like.
Phillip Rivers does those balls where it's like, all right, either the DB's catching it or my wide receiver's catching it.
Yeah.
Well, he was
100%.
Yeah, well,
he's not doing that to T.Y. Hilton. So if he's going to do those, to Tyler's point, like Mike Williams caught 66 targets, 10 touchdowns. It's going to be there's a lot of touchdown upside potential there.
Yeah. Could potentially lead the team in touchdowns.
Yeah, 100%.
You know, it's not out of the realm of
T.Y.'s
possibility,
never
so.
been a big touchdown guy. Paris Campbell, we haven't seen him score many
really seen him
touchdowns.
do what
He's
Eric Ebron's gone. Could those touchdowns go to Jack Doyle? Somewhat. Or could it be a rushing heavy? But those touchdowns have to go somewhere.
Yeah.
They have to be broken down to somewhere. So he could easily be at least a standard value for sure.
Yeah.
Worst case scenario, where you're looking at a league where it's touchdowns and yardage, it could easily be a standard value for sure.
For sure. Yeah, Michael Pittman Jr., remember the name.
Yeah, MPJ.
Yeah,
Stands
for sure.
MPJ.
Just like hitting these buttons now.
Grab it and bag it.
We're running to the next guy right here. Who we got on next? Rookies
You
we
guys want to
love.
guess?
Hey, is that getting old?
Oh shit.
Oops. Lynn Bowden Jr.
Lynn Bowden Jr.
LBJ.
LBJ.
My dude, I mean,
LBJ.
Raiders.
Hey, I didn't pick a junior. Can we change my guy's name?
Yeah, I was surprised that they drafted him as a running back, but I have so many numbers. I mean, I'll just start shooting some shit out for you. So, started off the season last year as a wide receiver. So he played as a wide receiver for the first month, had 30 catches. He was 21st in college football with 30 catches in 4 games. And then they started sucking. They were playing, they were down 24-0, and he walked with the coaches, was like, yo, let me play quarterback. Walks up to him, I just read this. The very first drive, 5 plays, 84 yards, touchdown. They're like, fuck this. He plays quarterback the rest of the season. They go 6-2. He runs for 1,468 yards as a quarterback. He led the SEC in rushing. He was 11th in college football for those 8 games. I mean, he was number 1, but I'm just saying he was number 11. 7.9 yards per carry. I mean, for that season, he had 1,468 rushing yards. He threw for 403 yards, 3 touchdowns. And then he led the team in receiving. That first month where he played receiver, he was the number 1 receiver. No one else was better than him. 348 yards. His 2 years of receiving, even though he played 8 games at quarterback his junior year, he had 1,090 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns. And he only played a season and 4 games as a wide receiver. I mean, he had 8 carries of 40-plus yards for 2 years. He was top 5 in the nation in that. He ran for 171 yards a game when he played quarterback for 8 games. He didn't pass much, obviously, but he was literally a one-man team. I mean, dude did it all. So, I mean, I don't see how he wouldn't do well. I heard, what I read, Gruden said he wants to use him as a joker, I guess, is what it's called in his offense. He's just going to use him all over the field like a Swiss Army knife. So, I mean, he could pass. He played quarterback. He was first-team All-American and won the nation's most athletic player. I mean,
He's a football player.
And I was trying to find the exact website, but you can look it up. So I guess what Mayock and Gruden did, they put him in a room. They gave him like 10 plays or 12 plays with all this terminology, and then they kept shooting the shit. And then like 20 minutes later, they're like, hey, like repeat that. And I guess he repeated every single thing, and they're like, we're drafting him.
Yeah.
So he's just a football player.
Attention to detail.
So he's just a football player. He does have like a troubled past, but they're saying he loves football so much that like he's just like overlooking that, like he's just moving past that.
Yeah.
So,
well, sometimes, I mean, you get like, trouble pass. I mean, he's in Kentucky. Maybe he's hanging around the wrong group of people. I mean, I guess maybe coming to Vegas might not be the best, but maybe he won't always be around those same group of people. So maybe, just, different culture. Maybe, the veterans can kind of keep him out of trouble and, his head on straight.
This is kind of outside thing. God, Mike.
and he just had a kid and named him the same name. So
I was gonna say, if he comes out here and he needs to stay out of trouble, don't try and fucking hang out with him, Dre.
I will. I will. You know where I'll take his ass?
Super
Home.
Hooper 2000.
I'll take his ass home.
Home.
I'll be like, hey, I'm starting you tomorrow. Take your bitch ass home.
Hey, low-key, like, do you think some players like
Drink some water.
Drink some water.
players with trouble passes, like due to like situations with Corona and staying home and testing, they might just be like, hey, bro, I gotta stay home, bro. That Rona.
Yeah, I mean,
like low key, it's like you're not like partying, you're not going out, you're not fucking around, you're not doing the same shit you do. So maybe some of these players are a little less prone to go out and get in trouble.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
for
mean,
sure. It could be a possibility. Especially if the bars are shut down and whatnot. So you can't go out and get drunk and cause a scene or
Yeah,
get
you
arrested.
can't go out,
DUI
you're not
or-
partying. There's not a lot of shit going on.
I mean, look at this. He
Doing
looks like
house calls,
he
baby.
looks like a poor man's Lamar Jackson, though. I mean,
I
obviously,
was
those
gonna
are high
say he
standards.
like reminds me of kind of like a Percy Harvin.
Yeah.
So he's a guy who can run the ball, but then he can catch it as well. He can because he can line up in the slot.
Yeah.
But then give him an end around if you want, or you can use him in a wildcat because he can throw the ball right here, boom, touchdown. So it's like
Oh, thank you for reminding me.
he's one of the most versatile, obviously winning the award most versatile player. But like I said, when I look at him, it's like a football player, and I feel like when you play quarterback, you play running back, you play wide receiver, you really know what you're looking for from the defense. So like when he's out there playing receiver, like he knows what it's like to be a quarterback and how to read the defenses. Like I feel like some of these receivers, they just know how to run routes and go catch the ball, but like he knows like, okay, like the defense is running this type of defense because I play quarterback, so he can maybe find the holes in the zone or whatnot. He just understands the game at such a deeper level than just playing wide receiver or
He's
just
played-
playing
And he was a
running
punt,
back.
he was a kick returner. He had 220 kick return yards and 17 touchdowns that year where he played all those positions. So he was a quarterback, a running back, and he was their special teams kick returner. So he was literally never left the field.
And
now
he kept that Gatorade fresh, boy.
while you're telling me about it, I screenshotted this. It's from CBS. So he said that 15 teams interviewed him during the draft process, and he said their vision I'm reading this verbatim. Their vision for him is one similar to Deebo Samuel out of the 49ers, is what he said. He said teams kept asking him, and he said,
Who, that guy with the broken foot?
"Yep." He said, "This is from Bowden."
Dr. Cucci?
It says a lot of teams see me as playing everything, not just receiver. Bowden said. They ask me what position I'm comfortable with, and I tell them that I don't have a position. You can put me all over the field, and whatever position y'all are going to pick me earlier at, mark me down for that.
Shit, boy, I'll kick a field goal.
So he's real. He's like, hey, if you're going to draft me higher at this position, take me there, and that's what I'm going to do. So he's like a football player. You'll take that. I'll take that every day.
Yeah, he does play football.
I fuck with that last comment. It's kind of funny.
Yeah, so I was gonna say we gotta adjust these comments a little bit.
A blind date.
Drafting rookies is like going on a blind date.
I'll pick Taylor Swift.
I can understand.
Taylor Swift?
I'm actually kind of yeah. Taylor Swift sings songs. No.
Dumbass.
No, but I'm actually for a long time I was very much like that, especially in just redraft leagues. It's not a bad strategy just to stay away from rookies. I mean, how many rookies bust really? Like, look, if you drafted David Montgomery in the 3rd or 4th round last year, you were pretty disappointed.
You're like,
I mean, last year wasn't the year to argue because I can literally name 4 rookies right now that shit on everybody.
But
but we also don't know.
No, that's what I'm saying.
To Mike's point, we don't know who's going to be good.
Well, yeah, it's always
to
hindsight.
Mike's point and in the comments, Mike.
Well, no, to understand, this is why you should listen to our podcast because we can tell you which rookies to fucking draft so you win your league. Because look, you had AJ Brown, McLaurin. I mean, you had Miles Sanders that we talked about last year.
McLaurin wasn't even a guy though that was being like deeply touted.
I know. I called him a special teams wizard last year. I'll never forget that. You guys made fun of me.
I think it's just more about you're trying to find these rookies who like it's a low.
It's
A
good
low
to
risk, high reward.
Yeah, these
like
are
you
like
said, well, Michael Pittman, like
14th round,
the guy
15th
could
round.
be on the field 90+% of the snaps. Like, okay, that's good. I want my guy to be on the field as much as possible. Like Lynn Bowden Jr., he's going to be a
Swiss Army knife.
Yeah, Swiss Army knife. So he's going to be utilized all over the field. You know, the opportunities for him to get the ball is really well. You know, he might even get that tag of where he could be like wide receiver or running back eligible.
He is right now.
You know
That's what he is right now.
So and you like seeing that. You know, where maybe some of these other receivers or running backs that we could touch on that we don't like. You know, maybe those guys are only on the field for 50% of the snaps. So it's like, okay, now I'm gambling because I don't know how many touches they're realistically going to get. So
and I will say that.
But Taylor and Swift, though, I think those are two of the probably one of the most shortest guys. Like Kerryon Johnson can't stay healthy, so I think DeAndre Swift is. I mean, he's Swift.
I think
they can make a band.
I think this year. I think this year of all years, even. It sucks that the whole COVID shit happened, but this year's rookie class was so talented. You're going to get a good amount of rookies. That'll do well. Maybe not from week 1 through 5, but you're going to get guys, you know, week 6 on that are going to ball for you.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be a good amount, and it's not just going to be, you know, your CDs and your Judys
and your BDs.
Like I think there's going to be more than this past year. So I would say actually pay attention to these rookies because if you do well with them, I mean, obviously, like I said, don't go too high unless, you know, like if you like CEH, well, you'll fade. But I think there's going to be a good amount of guys that emerge, especially if guys start testing positive and these guys get roles and get moved up because they have to. Just keep an eye. That's why another reason you want to keep rookies because if these vets go down with like the virus for a few weeks and they have to not play, they're going to count on these guys.
Well, they could all go down with the virus.
Well, I'm just saying hypothetically,
they could all
go down for sure.
If you have a fab, let's do like quick little timeout. If you have
So
that was loud.
I
did hear it. AVG did hear it.
I gotta adjust some of the levels.
All right, hold on.
Yeah, we could jump into.
But if you have a fab league, I feel like you have to adjust your fab this year. Like if you play in like we have $100 budget or a $200 budget.
Actually,
hey, how about you let me finish?
Go ahead.
Shut up. You have to adjust it because there's going to be more money that needs to be spent because of COVID potentially. I feel like that's something that needs to be brought up with some leagues potentially.
Yeah.
So because it's like, you know, if you're doing your normal bidding, but then all of a sudden like 5-star players get COVID and they're out for 2 weeks. Now it's like we have to adjust this.
You
So
might have to double it up or something.
yeah, I think it's something that needs to be brought up between leagues. Just a quick note, like, hey, maybe we need to make the fab higher this year.
Yeah.
That's
For
it.
sure.
Now you can speak. Go ahead.
Got you. So on one of these episodes, me and my boy Chris actually went through a whole thing. I'm showing you. You guys can't see it on camera, but
It's a lot to read.
It's basically, I'm not going to read it, but it's basically, we're going to do an episode on it. Something you want, precautions or things or disclaimers to throw for your leagues, just in case your league gets cut short. So things that go over your leagues, whether you start a league and you want to establish before, because for example, if a league gets cut short at week 10 and someone's 8-2 and someone's 3-7, obviously the 3-7 person's going to be like, oh, let's get our money back. So me and my boy, we went over a bunch of things as far as guidelines that you can set before you start your league so that you don't run into these problems. So maybe certain guidelines maybe go by points scored. Just certain things that we have that we'll talk about that I have here that we'll go over. But it's just something that you want to keep in mind just in case your league does get cut short so that you're not dealing with a bunch of bullshit of people trying to get their money back.
Yeah.
Or like how Anthony was saying.
I'm not paying.
Yeah, I'm not paying because my team sucks because it's hindsight. But if you go over these regulations and these rules earlier, you can kind of get ahead of it, and then that way. So we'll go over some things that'll kind of help your leagues out.
Episode.
Yeah, another
We just
episode.
really
I have a
bang it
whole.
up.
Yeah, we have a whole layout. I'll go over it with these guys. I haven't really told them, but.
And then you guys make that video viral. And then
Well, yeah, we'll go over it. I think,
ISO
and we
factor.
have some good shit. It'll be like even do like daily fantasy for like weeks 13 on, because you never know when it's gonna get canceled. But if it were to get canceled, it'd be more on the back end anyway.
Yeah.
So just something to think about for your leagues, because the last thing you want is dudes being like, I want my money back, and you're,
yeah, you got to have a system.
You have to have a
Make sure
system
100%.
from week 1 to be like, hey, look, if you suck, you lose your money. I don't care if it's week 8. I mean, if you're 2-6, bro, like you're 2-6.
Yeah.
You're not gonna get your money back. If you're 7-1 and I'm 2-6,
No, I feel you.
you know what I'm saying? So it's something to keep in mind because it's gonna happen.
Yeah.
It's just fantasy science, dude.
It's just science.
Or you'd rather be proactive than reactive. You know what I'm fucking saying?
All right,
Yeah.
Anthony,
I
let's
like
jump
your
into
active.
your
I'm
guy
like,
right
I'm like
here.
Gamma Ray.
Who's the rookie that you like?
He's JRJ.
JRJ.
JR Jr.
JRBJ.
He's junior.
JRJ.
So Jalen Rager from the
JR.
Eagles. This is one of the rookies that you like right here. So what is it about Rager?
Potential
you
for
like?
opportunity.
Yep.
You go down to, I mean, we already discussed the issue before where Deshaun Jackson might not. I think he's going to be there, but if that happens, it even boosts us even more.
Yeah, it'd be hard to deny that.
Yeah, we go to like the point where I said it's like you get him so late in the draft. It's like there's just the opportunity for a potential. Like he has the potential to even beat Deshaun Jackson as the number 1 targeted wide receiver versus where I'm not gonna say he's more talented than Michael Pittman, but
Or like Justin Jefferson. Or,
yeah, but like Deshaun Jackson has never demanded a high target volume as a wide receiver. I think that he's only topped 60 receptions once in his career. So can Jalen Rager be the number 1 targeted wide receiver? What does that mean? Is he more of like a Debo Samuel type of like 110 type of? Yeah, that's a possibility. But I think he has the potential to be the number 1 target wide receiver. I know last year was kind of a weird year because he had 95 target or 90 something targets. Only 55 of those were catchable. He had 43. He caught 43 of the 55. He dropped a lot of balls, which was inconsistent. 9. So if he actually caught 9 of those, he would have had like a 90-something% catch percentage. So to me, last year he was bad quarterback play. But I see someone who's very explosive, very fast off the ball, very very quick off the ball. That can translate to the next level. He kind of wins. He plays a lot bigger than he is. But like I said, none of us are scouts. So I don't even want to get into that. I want to get into the opportunity he has. He has that opportunity to be basically the number 1 in Philly, and he's tied to a potential quarterback that, is Carson Wentz potentially a top 5 quarterback? He potentially is.
Yeah.
He
So
was MVP
if you
2
have a
years ago.
receiver who could be the number 1 targeted receiver for an MVP type of receiver, it's like, why not take the chance on that guy? Why not shoot for him in the 14th, 15th round like we're talking about with Michael Pittman? It's like, I just love the potential upside. And in a keeper league like we talked about, like Deshaun Jackson might not be there next year. Alshon Jeffrey might not be there next year. So he's going to be the ISO facto potential number 1 next year. So it's kind of like we talked about Pittman. There's also that keeper upside with him. So I just love the opportunity. Like I said, the talent, there was some inconsistencies, but I liked what I saw with him. But I'm going to take a shot on him because there's a chance that he's even the number 1 this year. That he actually is more targeted than Deshaun Jackson. I know you do have Zach Ertz and you have Dallas Goedert and Miles Sanders going to see targets, but would it surprise me if he gets close to 100, 110 targets? No, it's not out of the realm of possibility. And if I'm getting that one of the last rounds, someone who has high burst, explosive playability tied to a potential we've seen MVP caliber quarterback, I'm going to take a lot of shots on that.
Yeah, no, for sure. He, like you said, last year wasn't really his fault. He had bad quarterback play, but 2 years ago he was balling. And 2 years ago I was really big on him, but like you said, dudes couldn't find him the ball.
And I don't like to play the mental narrative, but like I've played on frustrating teams where it's
no.
like, dude, these guys fucking suck. It's like,
Yeah,
no
for
offense,
sure.
but it's been like you played in a team where you get a little frustrated because like it's like you're the only talent there, and it's just like a little, like it does kind of fuck with your head a little bit.
Yeah.
So I kind of judge him more off his junior year, or was it junior or no?
Sophomore
Sophomore year.
He
I
was
judge him
balling.
more off of that than the year after, because it's like, almost half your targets are uncatchable. How many games do you think you're playing where you get 4 balls shot over your head and you're just like, it's like annoying.
I'm
It's,
open. What is
yeah,
that?
it's like annoying in a sense, and I think that could have led to some of the inconsistency. I'm not making an excuse, but I think that's a possibility. But like I said, that's like, I just think there's an opportunity for him to be the number 1 targeted receiver from the Eagles wide receiver standpoint.
Yeah, no, and he's a freak, like combine wise. Excuse me, 48-inch vertical.
Right there, perfect.
Right,
Just jump
do
in.
it.
He does play bigger than his size. I mean, not the biggest guy, but I mean, like he can jump through the roof and go out and get it.
Yeah, for sure.
You see Stephon Diggs and some of these, they're similar size, and John Brown, some of these guys that are smaller, they play bigger, and he kind of has that style. Anthony Miller was that type, where he's like about the same size, but he goes up and gets the balls and plays kind of physical. There's just a real opportunity for there. So to me, it's like, why not take the chance on him?
Weren't you saying, Dre, that he
Take a chance.
the coaches came out, or he came out and said like he doesn't know how to run a route, or he doesn't
Yeah.
know the whole route tree?
Yeah, they said no. They said he can't run a route. Jesus. They said he's just athletic as fuck.
So do you think that's going to transition into the NFL, or do you think that's something that could
The
potentially
Eagles
hold him back?
coaches, or
No, they. Jesus Christ.
The TCU coaches.
Drink some water.
The TCU coach.
So do you think that'll transition into the NFL, or do you think it might? Because I'm a little on the flip side of like, I didn't really see anything that really blew me away with him on tape. But I mean, obviously he's talented. They take him in the first round. I mean, with the plethora of wide receivers that were available in the draft, the Eagles needed to get a wide receiver, and they went out and they addressed that need in the first round. And out of all the guys that they could have taken, they took him. So that's obviously their guy. It's obviously something that they saw, that they liked, that they want to incorporate him. And like I agree, he could be the one going forward, because Alshon's on his last foot literally, and Deshaun Jackson is
I don't even know if he has a foot.
yeah.
Exactly.
Deshaun
It's on his
Jackson
last
is
toe.
getting older as well, so he won't be there much longer either. So we could be looking, how I said with Pittman, he could be the future of that franchise at the receiver position. I mean, we'd be looking at Rager as the future for the Eagles here. But are you a little concerned that he doesn't know how to run, I guess, a quote unquote a route?
Yeah, I mean I thought that was concerning, but I know that the reason he went so high is like his explosiveness. Like I want to say his broad jump. His 40 was like stupid. I know they say he plays like at 4.4 speed, but I want to say he ran like a 4.6 or like a high 4.5, and he still went in the first round. So obviously there's something teams do like, but he is one of those just explosive guys. He's like a quick twitch guy. He's really fast. What I do like about him is, and I'm about rookies getting on the field early. He was a really good punt returner too. So he returned a couple punts to the house. So that's going to be a good way to get on the field, because I don't see the Eagles having a punt returner. Nelson Aguilar did it a couple times. You have D-Jack, obviously, but I mean, a young guy like this who's eager to get on the field. I remember Jordy Nelson when he was getting in the league. He was like returning kicks, So it's like it's a good way to get on the field and show what you can do. But he does have the athleticism. But so does Njoku. Njoku tested through the roof. So I just want to see if it translates. But he does have the the measurables and all that. He's got the size. Like Amac said, he had a bad quarterback. So it's like, with a good quarterback, can they make him better?
Terrible quarterback. Right?
Terrible.
Not
So,
just bad.
and the year before, he did well with a less bad quarterback. So he's good for sure. It just he doesn't do it for me but he does have the ability to do it.
I disagree with like a little bit of the. I watched his route tree, and it's like, is he perfect? No, but he's very fast out of his breaks too. Very explosive out of his breaks. And I watched him pull some double moves and, like I said, contested catches. I saw a lot of stuff that has potential at the NFL level. Like I said, am I a scout? No, by any means, but
The opportunity's there, though.
Yeah, the opportunity's
Yeah,
there, and I'm judging.
sure.
I'm judging him more off the
And
year
which should be
prior.
one of the better, like,
Yeah.
high-powered
Yeah.
offenses.
They should be, yeah. They have a good O-line. They're going to be, passing. I mean, Alshon's old as shit.
He's got
Dog's licking my kneecap.
Deshaun Jackson's a
I mean,
Nazi.
if he is, like I said, if I'm wrong and he's not, he's not as talented as me or the Eagles believe, then you waste a 14th round pick.
But
It's like, why not take the shot on someone like him?
shot
Like,
on a guy, but
yeah, it's like
could be a league
yeah,
winner.
If I'm right and the Eagles are right, he could potentially be as Tyler said, a league winner. Same as Michael Pittman. So they have that upside. So it's like, why not take a shot on him? Even if it's the 11th round or 10th round, it's like, who are you going to take? Someone. It's like, oh, let me take my backup quarterback here.
I was shocked that they went with him too. So
Did you see that comment?
I was confused. Deshaun Jackson trained. Oh my Jesus Christ.
Hey, listen, if you're listening to this in the future, not live, we do these we every Thursday when we record these Friday podcasts, we do them live. So if you want to comment and try and make us laugh, this one worked. So
Jesus.
that's funny.
I like it.
Oh shit.
All right, we got next.
All right, so those are some of the guys that we like right there.
So yeah,
And like I said, these are like the later round kind of guys. So but if they hit, like you said, you know,
But
that's what it is. Sometimes you're looking for these guys who could really pop and make a difference. You know, and if you're not, you end up dropping them and you pick someone else up. But.
And to like all these guys, like we could all be wrong, we could also be right, but know these names because these are like everyone we brought up, they're not going in the top 7 rounds.
Yeah.
Like Rager, Pittman, and Bowden, they're not top 7, but know the name because your league. One of us could be right with one of these guys, and maybe week 1 they go out and have 7 targets for 5 catches and 65 yards, and they played 80% of snaps. They didn't necessarily break out, but they had a good game. But now you know the name. You're like, oh, maybe I'll pick Lynn Bowden up. He was active. He was like, I'm going to take this guy and hold him and stash him. And this is why we bring these guys up for that reason.
Or say, right.
And then dynasty purposes.
Because then they break out in the week's future. It's like maybe they didn't happen, but it's like the snaps, the play percentage, this and that, and it's like all that happens. So that's why we're bringing these names up now.
Yeah,
so
you
guys
know me.
about
I
them.
always say like I'd rather be a week early and hold him instead of like then he pops and now it's like
You're scrambling.
Yeah, maybe you don't have enough fab or you don't have your waiver priorities way down there, so now you can't go get him on the waiver wire because he just blew up. But maybe if I can get him before he blows up, then now everyone's gonna be like, oh, Jalen Reagor, let me go get him, and they're gonna be searching for him, and they'll be like, well, you have Jalen Reagor? How the fuck did you know who Jalen Reagor was? And they'll be like, well, I was listening to the AVG Fantasy Podcast. That's why, boy.
That's how you get those Donald dollars.
Hey, dude,
free money in the fab.
That happened to me actually 2 years ago when Calvin Ridley was a rookie. I think he balled out like a week 2 or 3.
Balled.
And I had him on my team, and it was exactly the scenario you're describing right now. It was nice. Everybody was like, I want Calvin Ridley, and I was like, nah, I got him in the 14th round, bitch.
Yeah, I've actually had that happen in some leagues too, where it's like, oh, dude, you had so and so player, like, oh no, you've had it too. Or it's like because we play deeper, so it's like, oh, how did you know about this guy?
I'm trying to think.
Like,
Kenneth Dixon, someone like that. Remember, like a couple years ago,
Yeah.
like someone like him. It's like what? He was supposed to do
we
good.
pay attention.
Kenneth Dixon.
Can't stop smoking weed, but no, for dynasty purposes, these guys are all going top 20 in your rookie drafts. Rager went 11 or 13 in mine, but you can get Bowden probably mid-second. But now, I mean, things are changing. But yeah, these are top 20 guys, and then in your dynasty redrafts, I mean, these guys are probably like 12th, 13th round guys. But this is for dynasty startups. So redrafts, like these guys are saying, more like off the radar late round guys. But for dynasty, definitely top 15 guys. Pittman's like been moving up into the first round. So depending on what you need, you'll be able to snag him up. So and Bowden's valuable because he's wide receiver running back. I don't know. They'll figure it out. Somebody will.
That double eligibility.
Yeah, he's a wide receiver running back.
He's a Danny Woodhead.
Yeah, he's like exactly. He's like a Danny Woodhead.
Dude, I miss Danny Woodhead.
I still think Taysom Hill should get QB wide receiver running back in dynasty, but
And tight end.
he should, dude. He's like valuable as shit.
Kicker. Hey, so we went over rookies we love. These are league winners. But we need to go over the league losers.
So like if we're trying to lose a league like this, these are the players you get.
Or just don't draft them. You know what I mean? Just know that these might be league losers and you don't want them on your team. We're still talking rookies. Oops. And we're going to go into rookies we fade. People we are fading from our draft. First up, whoops.
Someone trying to catch a
First up,
fade.
we got Keyshawn Vaughn.
Keyshawn Vaughn. So this is my guy, and
What a bust.
all right, so I think Keyshawn Vaughn is gonna be a bust. I just don't think that he's that talented. I mean, it's hard to say that he's not talented. Guy, played D1 football in the SEC. He gets drafted, so for him to say he's not talented is an overstatement. But I just didn't like what I saw on the film. This is kind of like the first year I know Dre, you really dig into the dynasty. You've been doing it for a couple years, but this is like the first year I've really like dived into it and like watched the film with all these running backs, these receivers and whatnot.
Hope you didn't
And
dive in like that.
Yeah. And it's just like I didn't see anything that blew me away. Like, oh man, this guy's so talented. Like he's so good. I mean, we're talking about how like certain plays like you could run a 4.5, but like
I sure
running a
can. Thank you.
4.5
Thank you.
in like the game speed is one thing. Like maybe I run a 4.5, but in game speed I'm running like a 4.3.
Yeah.
But then maybe I run a 4.5, but in my game speed I'm running like a 4.7.
Yeah.
Like he ran a 4.5, Keyshawn Vaughn, but he just doesn't look fast.
Yeah, for
like if you
sure.
watch these highlights, he doesn't break away. There's zero breakaway
When
runs.
Kenny was here, we're like, he hasn't broke 1 run of 20.
Zero breakaway runs. I mean, he's a short, little stockier guy, so he's 5'10", 215, so he's built a little short and stocky, but no breakaway runs, and, it just seemed like he would get taken down effortlessly, like arm tackles, he would get dragged to the ground. I mean, one thing I could say is he can catch the ball, so you like seeing that, but, I mean, I think this running backfield for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers is going to be a committee. I mean, you got last year, Ronald Jones had 203 touches, and then Peyton Barber had 170. So it's pretty much a true running back by committee. I mean, Peyton Barber's not there anymore, but you have Ronald Jones, who is actually just in sleeper. And you talk about selling. Mike, you're saying how I can sometimes you listen to me and you sell me on things, or I sell you on things. Justin sold me on Ronald Jones, and I know you're not big on Buccaneers running backs, but I mean, for a guy who's just 22 years old, Ronald Jones,
Young as fuck.
coming into the third year in the league, he already knows the system. I mean, we just found out there's going to be 0 preseason games. So now these rookies are not getting rookie camp. They're not getting OTAs and all that stuff. They're not getting any preseason games to go out there and actually run the plays, be with the team on the field. They're pretty much just get thrusted right into week 1. And I just don't see a situation where Keyshawn Vaughn is going to be the main guy right at the jump. I mean, you're going to have a guy like Ronald Jones who already knows the playbook. He already knows what to do. He knows the system. So, yeah, I just don't think that Keyshawn Vaughn is very good. The only way I could see him really getting on the field, it would be third downs, pass blocking opportunities, or even pass catching opportunities. But only 28 receptions last year, so it wasn't like he was this crazy utilized running back out of the backfield in terms of catching the ball. And then the targets last year for the running backs on the Bucs, they were split. Ronald Jones had 41. Your boy Dar Gumbawale or whatever.
Dario Gumbawale.
Hey, what about Bruce Anderson?
47 targets for him, for Dar, and then Peyton Barber had 24. So it wasn't like there was a crazy amount of targets that were going around. It was pretty chopped up evenly. And like I said, I don't think Ronald Jones' targets go away. I mean, if he had 41 last year, I would only think that maybe Ronald Jones pushes that 50 threshold in a sense. And so what does that leave Keyshawn Vaughn in terms of getting these targets? For the receiving upside, which is the only upside I even see in him at all. And you still have this offense is going to move through Mike Evans, Chris Godwin.
7 tight ends.
Yeah. Gronk, is going to get a ton. How many red zone opportunities are there going to be where they do play action and Gronk gets a 4-yard touchdown instead of a 4-yard run that Keyshawn Vaughn could have maybe got? So, yeah, I just think Keyshawn Vaughn is getting overhyped. People think that maybe he's going to come in and be this superstar in Bruce Arians' offense. And I could be 100% wrong, but, I mean, like I said, just watching the film on this guy, I just didn't see anything that blew me away. And
that's coming from.
And that's at the college level. So the
Yeah.
NFL I always say this, people will be like, "Oh, dude, he did this." And like, bro, the NFL players are so much fucking faster, and they close so much quicker, and there's so much. It's like
It's
just
night
lacked
and day.
elusiveness. He lacked breakaway speed. He lacked the ability to break tackles.
He's lacking.
Yeah, as he breaks one tackle right there. But yeah.
So
Yeah, but you watch the guy. Okay, the guy going to tackle him like this.
Yeah, and he's probably played 4 snaps in college his whole life.
Yeah. So yeah, I just didn't think so. And I think here's a guy who's going to be getting blown out of proportion, especially in these dynasty drafts. I don't want to throw anyone under the bus, but Dre, you did a dynasty rookie draft the other day, and one of the guys was saying how he needed a running back really bad. So you guys went all running backs pretty heavy for your first couple picks. He came on the board, and Judy was still available. CeeDee Lamb was still available, and Keyshawn Vaughn was the best available running back at that time, and he took Keyshawn Vaughn. And I was thinking to myself, why would you take Keyshawn Vaughn over CeeDee Lamb or Jerry Jeudy in a dynasty? Going forward for the next 5, 6, 7, 10 years, whatever you're doing dynasty for. It just blew me away. Man, this, I don't know. I just don't think Keyshawn Vaughn is it, and I think a lot of people are really, hyping him up.
Rule of thumb: take the D's over anyone.
Yeah. Judy or CD. I liked him last year, but he stayed because he's actually a 5th-year senior. One thing that just sounded weird, he was a high school Gatorade Player of the Year in 2014. That sounds so long ago.
Jerry knows people's SAT scores.
He was in college for Well, what I read, the reason he was in college, he
He's
actually
the MVP of his Pop Warner League,
so-
3 years running.
No, so he actually went to Illinois. He was a running back at Illinois and was there for a few years, and then coaching changed, bullshit transferred. He's a fucking 6-year senior. That's why he's 23.
Yeah.
He's old as balls.
Dre will be like, he smashed every pinata in one swing at every birthday party he ever had, so you know he's athletic.
Hey, you see? Hey, I'm just saying that's how old he is.
Yeah.
Dog.
All right,
He's old as balls.
so Michael
But-
in the chat, he said, do you think Ronald Jones will be the guy?
Yes.
Perfect.
So if you want to, we actually did an episode where our roommate Justin, he came on and he gave us one of his sleepers. It was Ronald Jones. So if you want to check that out, I think it was in the last episode. But yeah, pretty much, what he was saying was, yeah, Ronald Jones is going to be the guy. And when you have those weapons of Mike Evans, Godwin, Gronk, OJ Howard, just even Brady behind center, he's not going to face any stacked boxes, So let's say they run a spread formation, and Brady comes to the line and he sees hey, I know I can get 5 yards easy right here on a run. Let me check it to a run. Arians is going to give Brady that leeway to do that. Is basically what Justin was saying. Compared to Jameis Winston, he was probably like, "Hey, bro, just go out there, run the play. Don't throw a pick. Remember, we're wearing red today. We're not wearing blue."
He's like, "What kind of red?
Well,
What
I mean,
kind of red?"
here's another part of the whole situation with the running offense in general. And you got to pass to run percentage. Arians will have a pass-heavy offense. That is guaranteed for sure. But how many times does Tom Brady can throw a pick six in the first play, and now we're chasing?
Yeah.
Not many.
Maybe once.
Hopefully,
If that. So it's like that already puts them behind the game script, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, it was like the Bucks threw I think a second or third most. Are they still going to be a top 10?
second.
Yes, 100%, because that's what they do. That they throw the ball. But will they be in more scripts where maybe they blow out some teams? Maybe Brady and the Bucks and the offense and the defense is good and they blow out some teams.
Yeah.
So maybe you see Ronald Jones get 20-something carries in some games. That's not out of the realm of possibility.
No, I mean,
I think it's still Ronald Jones' backfield to lose, unless he goes out there and he fumbles or he fucks up something, and Brady's like, "Hey, we need to get him out." But I just can't, like I said, no preseason. Keyshawn's still got to learn the whole playbook. So
that's
it's
key
going to be
with
Ronald Jones' backfield to start off the season. And if he comes out the gates hot and he comes out the gates and he's productive, I can't imagine a scenario where you take the hot hand off the field to bring in a rookie who's still learning, the ins and outs of being in the league.
And that's key what you say, Tyler.
and he's older than him.
The off season is key, Tyler, because it's like these guys are rookies, and Arians has a history of David Johnson. We know how elite he was for a while, but he was not getting on the field when it was who was ahead of him, Hightower or
Back in the day.
back in the day.
Yeah.
He was not putting David Johnson in. It was Hightower
Yeah.
or whoever was in front
They
of him.
had
Andre
different
Ellington,
guys.
maybe.
Ellington, yeah. It was like David Johnson had to wait his turn until everyone got hurt.
Yeah.
And David Johnson, I can guarantee you, is better than Keyshawn Vaughn.
Yeah.
If Keyshawn Vaughn's better than David Johnson, I don't know.
He's not.
I'll
Yeah, he was.
shocking all.
Watch the film. Just watch the film.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
So that's what I'm saying. It's like this is a coach who has a history of I'm gonna play it
And by the way, I was gonna say, by the way, this is all we all do not like Ronald Jones either.
I mean,
I mean,
we're not big on him.
I
at
mean,
the very least.
I'm getting there once. Yeah.
Yeah, Justin actually persuaded me a little bit, and
Okay,
I'm about to
previous
persuade you
year.
more.
Okay, dude. Previous years, have we ever been hyped on Ronald
No, I'm not
Jones?
big on him, but the opportunity is there, so it's hard for me to say.
No, I'm saying we're talking about this, and we're not really that big of fans of
Yeah.
Ronald Jones.
We're not
to
like Ronald
show
Jones
how
truthers.
much we do believe that
Yeah.
this is probably going to be Ronald Jones back.
I didn't like what I saw out of Ronald Jones for a while, but I'm like, dude, the opportunity is there. The fucking, I'm probably gonna have a lot of.
I mean,
Ronald
he had
Jones.
200 touches. Ronald Jones had 200 touches last year. I would like to think that stays at least at 200. It could go up to push 220 to 240, 250-ish,
And the
depending.
receptions go up.
So it's like he's going to get at least 200 touches, you would assume, which is a serviceable low end too.
he's going
Maybe
so
like
late.
a flex guy. Yeah.
It's going so late. That's why it's
What are
like
some numbers
so
where
late.
you're going to drop some?
so late.
Some.
Yeah, I got some heat. I'm a Ronald Jones fan. I'm a USC fan, so I fuck with Ronald
Yeah,
Jones.
if you wear that Trojan helmet, Dre fucks with you.
I mean,
I don't
I
wear
liked
Trojan
him.
helmets.
I liked him coming
I
out
pull
of
out.
college. He's young. He was he's only 22 right now, so I'm gonna give I owned him last year, and it was so hard to play him because of how it would be Peyton Barber for 13 carries for 36 yards and a touchdown, which is what he did. But I will tell you this: he only had 6 games of 12 or more carries, and in those games, he had 10 points, 12 points, 15 points, 15.2, 14.2, and 18.4.
Is that a PPR?
Half point PPR.
Half point PPR,
Half
okay.
point. So he was getting you.
So 12 plus touches, he's getting you double digits.
He's getting you
fantasy
double
points.
digits every single time, and he only played over 50% of the snaps 50 or more 3 times, and in those games he got you 15.2, 14.2, and 18.4. He never played more than 51 snaps in a game all season long last year. And the game he played 49%, he got you 14.7. So
just opportunity.
Just opportunity. And then the last game he played 45%, but he had 11 carries for 100 yards. So he just needs give him the rock. If you can give him the rock 15 times, he's going to get. I mean, from what I just said, he's getting you double digits.
You know, I always say it: men lie, women lie. The numbers don't lie. So I'll look at the numbers.
He has that what's blocked he'll get, and he has top end speed.
Yeah,
So
and he's
100%.
young.
If he gets those carries and they give him a hole, he's going to break away some runs.
And not only that, week 10 he had 8 targets, 8 catches, 77 yards. So he's it's not like he's not competent in the pass game. He can give him the rock. He can catch the ball. And I did read he's been working on his pass game this offseason. He's really been working on his routes. But it's just tough to get a guy who's 22 going into his third year in the NFL.
You just think that, like,
and Keyshawn Vaughn's 23.
You know, you always want, for me personally at least, you always want to get these guys who are on these high-powered offenses because the more opportunity to score. You know, I want a player who's on a team that's scoring 3 or 4 touchdowns a game compared to a player the team's only scoring 2 touchdowns a game. Yeah. So if I can get the running back on a high-powered offense, you know, as much as I hate Tom fucking Brady, but, you know, he's out there. He's competent. He can spread the ball around. He's not going to be throwing pick sixes like Anthony said on the first play.
He's competent.
So,
he's
competent.
He's competent. God.
But, so, yeah, this offense is going to be pretty good, you would like to think. So, yeah, sign me up for the guy who's going to get 200-plus touches out of the backfield. Can't stack the box on him. This is basically everything what Justin was saying. Like I said, if you look at the sleeper episode, that'll probably be a good one to clip, Mike.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good offense. So it wouldn't surprise us next year if we use the stats where we always say this, like, dude, Ronald Jones had 15 carries inside the 5 last year. Like, we're going into next year saying that because that was a good offense and Brady's there another year. So that's a stat. Wouldn't be surprised me if that's something we're saying.
Yeah, sure. and like you said, Amek, I mean, if week 1 he goes and gets 18 for 100 and a touchdown, and then the next week he gets you 20 for 80 or 20 for 100, Keyshawn Vaughn's not going to see the field until Ronald Jones proves otherwise to take him off the field.
Yeah.
And, I mean, he's 22, he's 5'11", 208. He's probably gained some muscle.
He's such a late ADP. He's like
it's just a value, exactly.
Yeah.
For a guy who could be a legit RB2 for you. You know, like you say, if you go wide receiver heavy, maybe you go quarterback and tight end heavy. Maybe you want to do that Mahomes Kelsey stack.
Yeah.
So now you're thinking like, okay, I need to get another running back. You know, you could get Ronald Jones in these later rounds, and you know, a guy who said as long as he's getting 12 plus touches, just a guy who's going to get me 10 plus points. He's not going to lose me my week. Maybe he doesn't win me. You know, the boom is there, but just a guy who's going to get me a safe floor every week.
We brought up Mostert earlier. It's like I'd actually rather take Ronald Jones than Mostert. To be honest.
I would agree with that.
I think he's getting ranked a lot lower. I think Mostert has potential higher ceiling, but the floor to ceiling ratio is a lot safer with Ronald Jones.
And I feel bad, but in conjunction with me hyping Ronald Jones and me having him, I literally tried to trade him all year last year to anybody. Dog, he finished in standard 27 and in PPR 25. If that's not the most sneaky RB2 in the world. And they're like, he sucks. I'm like, but yeah, look what he does. And they're like, if he's that good, why don't you keep him?
Like
and I'm like,
that's
you're
his
right.
floor for what he could be.
He
So
finished
this
25
really,
in PPR.
Yeah.
Like half point. But it's like, and he didn't even do that well. Yeah. So yeah, for being that young, or you know what, in Dynasty, if you have a dude in your league who's selling low, buy low on him.
Yeah,
I'm just saying we got to integrate it. Like if you have someone who's like sick of him and wants, and you know, I mean, I did it with Derrick Henry, so fucking, I look like an idiot. But yeah, you know, offer like a 2nd round pick for him, and he's a 3-year guy, 22 years old. You never know. You know, take a risk. You're not gonna get a 1st round pick for him, but if you can offer a 2nd rounder and get a running back who can get you 200 touches, it's worth it. You know, try to finagle the bagel.
It is worth it. And you know who isn't worth it?
Yeah.
Our next guy. Sorry, we just talked about Keyshawn Vaughn for like 15 minutes.
Good.
Crazy Horse Edwards.
You know, people need to hear it.
Clyde Edwards-Helaire.
Helaire. This is more towards redraft. Hey, we were just talking about your boy,
Ronald Jones.
Ronald Jones.
We were just talking about him.
You know what I call him?
What's that?
Pocket Jacks.
Pocket what?
Jacks. Is that what you beat me with, Pocket Jacks?
Yeah, Clyde Edwards-Helaire. So to me, it's the redraft. It's more of a redraft than a dynasty because I think in dynasty he eventually is going to be a monster, but I think in redraft we've gone over the point of how COVID's going to delay a lot of stuff, and it's going to be he's not getting into the playbook instantly. I know he was a late 1st round pick. The Chiefs were the best team in the NFL. They didn't need much. They really didn't. Damian Williams is not. They're actually Damian Williams. Hey, sit on the sideline. Clyde Edwards-Helaire is going to take over everything. You sit there. You just shut up. Stay there. It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
So he's going to be in some type of timeshare to start the season, and from someone who's taken a lot, I've taken a lot of chances in the second and third rounds to just try and like go upside. When you miss in that second round pick or third round pick on a running back because you're trying to chase upside and it doesn't work out, it hurts your team pretty badly.
Yeah, I did it with David Montgomery last year, just for an example.
You got him in the third?
Yeah, I took him in the third. I was on the
Damn.
turn, so I was like, I really want him. Let me just get him right here. He was my third running back, but I thought I was going to be stacked, and yeah, it did. So to your point,
and I'm glad you said that because that's what I'm pointing out. I'm not saying quite as hilarious.
Kawhi
He's
Edwards?
Just call him your new name.
CEH, bro. CEH.
CHE.
No, call it Crazy Horse.
Crazy Horse. So I'm not saying Crazy Horse. We're gonna start calling him Crazy Horse. I'm saying Crazy Horse is gonna be a bust. But I'm saying for where you have to pick him, where you have to take him, I'm personally saying there's the risk to reward is a lot more on the risk side because it's like you need everything to go right instantly.
Yeah.
And we're not dealing with a normal season. We're not dealing with like they have preseason to see this and that. And the coaches aren't coming out saying, he needs to work on his pass catching ability before he sees the field. He drops down. You know that. People are drafting him like he's going to be the next,
Brian Westbrook.
So it's like you're paying so much of a price. Would it surprise me if week 1 he comes out and gets 8 carries because they haven't done much on the field and Damian Williams is a starter? No, it wouldn't at all. Would it surprise me if he's more of the Miles Sanders mold where it takes 8 to 10 weeks? No, it wouldn't. And it's like, that's cool if you're paying like a Jonathan Taylor price in the 5th round or 4th round or 6th round or some of these other guys. But like when you're paying a 2nd or 3rd round price for him, it's
High second.
it's just way too risky.
So
And that could hurt your team and that can ruin your season.
So you're saying dynasties, you're all in on him, right?
Dynasties
He's
completely,
he's like a top 3 pick locked
Yeah,
in for
Dynasty's different.
he went 1 the minute he went to the Chiefs. He was like a consensus.
Well, you're talking about redraft leagues for
I'm talking
just
about
this
redraft
first year
specifically
because
for this
Damian
year.
Williams is still going to be there for this year, and he's not going anywhere.
Yes. So it's specifically for redrafting this year. Dynasty, I think he has long-term value in the top 3 or 4 running backs. But specifically this year, it's like, you see people are like, oh, the Chiefs offense, this, that. Like we're not dealing with a normal year. Like I've repeated 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
And I'll repeat it 4 times if I have to. So it's like just what you're doing. Like Tyler said, David Montgomery took him 3rd. I've reached on players who have huge upside, and it's burnt the shit out of me because it's like you can't, with running back, you can't
tough.
recoup that.
It's tough.
Yeah.
It's really hard to recoup that. With
You
the
have to have, like, a
receiver,
hell
if you
of a
miss,
waiver wire pickup.
yeah, if you take a receiver in the 3rd round, you already have 2 stable running backs, you can recoup that. But when you miss on a running back early and you're not getting the value, it really does hurt your team. The last thing you want to do is start 1 and 3 because Clyde Edwards-Helaire was your 2nd round pick and he's getting you 6 points, 5 points, 4 points, and you have other guys who are dominating you because of that.
Yeah. And you're never benching. If you're drafting him that high,
you're not benching
you're
him.
setting and forgetting it every single week with him.
Yeah,
You're
and it
not
could-
even thinking about moving him out of your
Yeah,
lineup.
and it could easily be a Miles Sanders situation. It could be 8 or 9 weeks before he fully breaks out.
Yeah.
And that's your 2nd round pick.
Yeah.
So it's just I'm just cautioning you, if you take him, understand your risk. The reward could pay off. I just think the percentage of chances that it does is a lot smaller than people are paying up to be.
So I feel like I've been saying it a lot lately. So this is one of those, like, you'd rather not have him and be wrong than have him and be right.
Yes, 100%.
Right?
2,000%.
Right? I'd rather have
Yeah.
you. I feel about that about a bunch of players. Like, I'd rather not draft you and have you ball than have me draft you and have you shit the bed like I think you're going to shit the bed.
Yeah.
But no, I feel you. I mean, the minute he went to the Chiefs, people were jumping on him. So is it more like the Damian Williams presence that throws you off with him?
Damian Williams, president, coach speak, running
he
backs coach
balled.
speak, a couple other stuff. He's bald. He's
He
been
would have been
efficient.
Super Bowl
When,
MVP.
he's been efficient when he's healthy and gets the workload. Now, if he goes down, we don't know when that could be. When it could be, I think it could happen because he's been healthy. But like saying, to start to the season, even if it's weeks 1 through 5, and he's the secondary back, that's going to hurt you when you pay a 2nd round price.
Yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to get at. I'm not trying to say he's going to be a bust and he's someone you shouldn't touch. It's more of like with the
Proceed with caution.
Yeah, the price you're going to pay to get the reward instantly. He might finish as RB6 at the end of the year or RB5. And you're going to be, oh, you're fucking stupid. He was RB6. Yeah, but how many weeks did he hurt you weeks 1 through 6?
Yes, yeah. No, you're right. Like Miles
Or
Sanders.
weeks 1 through 7.
Same
and
thing.
you started off, and it's like, okay, yeah, you finished as RB6 because that's all came in the second half.
Yeah.
But your team started 1 and 5.
Yeah.
And you didn't make the playoffs.
It's pretty much what I was saying with the Ronald Jones and Keyshawn Bond thing. Like, there's no preseason, there's no rookie
Yes.
minicamp, so
tough.
Keyshawn Bond's not gonna just jump onto the field right away. So you're basically saying the same thing. Clyde Edwards don't expect him to come out there and get 90% of the snaps because he still needs to learn the playbook. He's still got to get acclimated to the whole system
They have
in
to
the
see him,
NFL.
too.
So,
Yeah, 100%.
where Damian Williams, who, like you said, Dre, he pretty much could have won Super Bowl MVP if it wasn't for Mahomes.
Yeah, for sure. He would've won
Damian Williams already knows the playbook. He already knows everything. like you can throw him out there with no practice, and Damian Williams could do fine. You can't throw Clyde Edwards-Helaire out there without a practice and expect him to really play.
Yeah, and he gets Pat Mahomes just blitz on the first play.
Yeah, and just and you know, people look for hype. I mean, I did read like Bieniemy's like, oh, he's hitting me up like about the plays. Like he is trying to learn the plays, but there's one thing knowing the plays, and then there's one thing going out onto the field and executing and doing it. And not only that, you're behind a dude who's already done it. You know?
learning
and just pay Damian Williams. So yeah, like you said, it would be nuts for me. I would be shocked if week 1 they just put Damian Williams in the back burner
And protection.
they just
You just paid Patrick Mahomes more than Jeff Bezos makes in
in
half an
a
hour.
couple days.
Half an hour.
End of the day.
Because he makes like a lot.
Was it a Billy Does hour? Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like you're gonna put him out there with like limited passing block experience,
And Mahomes
like,
has to trust him too to protect him.
Yeah.
So
exactly. So there's a lot of factors to it. So
I do like for dynasty
Yes,
purposes, and even like going forward next year. Obviously, you know, when hopefully this whole coronavirus shit's in our past when we get to next season. But I'll tell you one thing: looking at the film, I love Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I think he's super talented, a true 3-down back. I mean, he can run the ball, catch the ball, shifty. Like he's the real deal. And obviously, you know, when they call Mahomes, like, hey, who do you want us to take with this pick? For Mahomes to come out and be like, I want this guy, that just speaks volume. That like, you know,
but
the face of the NFL, the Super Bowl MVP wants you on their team. You know, that just shows how good that he is. That Mahomes is even taking notice to how good he is, and he's like, "Hey, I want that guy on our team because I know he can make this offense even better than what it is." So
I love what you said because I think that's why he's gonna get drafted so high.
Yeah.
And it's like we're pointing out some of the like cautions.
And Reed said I see him as the next Brian Westbrook for our offense.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah, so it's like there's
For
all
sure.
these things rolling, and there's like maybe there's some more stuff said, and it's like maybe you might see some leagues where he gets taken on the top. Like, wouldn't surprise me at the end of the first round.
hey, look, remember Damian Williams last year went what? He was going top 12.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was first
So it's just
round.
like I'm putting the,
Yeah, the
I'm putting
Chiefs-
the yellow
the Chiefs.
caution tape out, and I'm just saying, hey, like if you want to take that risk, take it, but understand this is a year, it's not normal, and there's a lot of
All right.
things going, and we can get.
Well, I was
to the
gonna
next
look. I was
No,
gonna
no.
throw some names out of like who he's around, just for. I know this is kind of going a little longer, Mike, but just some names
I was not. Yeah, you're good.
of like who
No, but
he's
repeat
being
myself,
drafted
so
around,
sure.
and maybe who would you prefer to take over Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I'm trying to pull it up real quick. Okay, so right now I'm not 100% sure how accurate this is, but this is Fantasy Pros. He's the 30th ranked player, so he's RB 14 actually. So I mean, are you taking guys like? I mean, are you taking Eckler or are you taking Clyde Edwards?
I'll take
That's
Eckler.
probably really close.
I'll take Eckler. I'll take Eckler. Yeah. New quarterback.
I hit you with
Dump it,
the
dump
toughest
it.
one right off the
I'll
jump.
No,
take Eckler's
Eckler-
someone I'm having a hard time decide on that. Like he's one guy I need help with. I'm like, bro, like
Justin Herbert.
he's like that
coming
chick
in.
where you're like, dude, like, do I do it or not? Like, I don't know.
Bro,
what's going on.
That one's tough. That's for. What about Josh Jacobs or Clyde Edwards?
Jacobs,
Jacobs. I go Jacobs. Kenyon Drake.
Drake.
I would say Kenyon Drake too because I think he like he already knows the system and I love Kenyon Drake's guy's limb.
I was
I'll
I'd say
ask you
Drake
any
too.
question.
Yeah, Miles Sanders,
Sanders,
Aaron Jones.
Jones.
What? I would go Clyde there.
That one's tricky right now because I know we're gonna touch on another guy in this next one right there. That like Eckler and Aaron Jones, those are tricky ones right there. I might go Clyde Edwards on that one because I'm not a big.
I know what I'm getting. Aaron Jones to start the year.
What about
Yeah.
Leonard Fournette?
I'll take
I'll take
Fournette.
Clyde.
Whoa.
See, this could be a good segment.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think I'd go for well,
This
that
oh
one's
that.
tough, yeah.
This oh that.
Would you
This,
rather?
Oh, that.
That was tough.
I would do.
I'll take Mark
Fournette.
Marcanio and Pop Warner football 04.
Chris Carson or Clyde Edwards-Helaire?
Who?
Chris Carson. He said.
Heller.
I'm gonna go.
I'll go Hilaire just because.
See, he's got a
We're
fractured
talking
hip. I don't
ADP or
care.
we're talking general, right?
Just talking about in general, like who for.
Yeah, Heller.
In general, Hilaire. ADP probably Carson because Carson's
Yeah.
gonna go a lot later.
Oh yeah, I was just curious, just throwing some names out
Yeah.
there, like who Clyde Edwards could be around, and it's like, are you willing to take him over certain players and whatnot? But interesting,
Yeah,
interessante.
Yeah, so recap real quick with Dynasty, we say go for Clyde, but in redraft, maybe fade. That's kind of the synopsis.
Yes, sir.
All right. Synopsis. And to
Synopsis.
the last
Bing,
rookie we
bing.
fade,
AJ Dillon Jr.
we got A.J. Dillon, the
ADJ.
gentle
AJ
giant.
DJ.
AJD.
If you're from now on,
AJD.
if you're not a junior, you're a junior. If you're a junior, you're a junior.
Yeah, so he's an AJD, JR. AJ, yeah.
Hey, he's ADJ.
All right, AJ Dillon. I mean, everyone knows. Big boy, great combine numbers.
Big boy.
Big boy.
big boy.
Derrick Henry Jr. And you can go online and you can look at his numbers, and they're super cool to look at, and they're good, right? Like
Super cool.
super cool. You know, did all these things. So then I went and I looked, and I was like, who the fuck does Boston College even play? Right? So I go look, and I'm like, all right, let me go see what good teams they play. So I look and I find it, and I'm like, shit, this dude's eh. So here we go. Notre Dame ranked 15th in the country, 14 carries, 56 yards. Caca.
Kaka.
Actually played against Richmond, who's not even a D1 fucking school like that. He only had 17 carries for 86 yards, 2 touchdowns, whatever, but not good. Virginia Tech, 23 carries, 81 yards. Not good. Clemson, 19 carries, 76 yards. Those are the 4 best teams he played. Didn't dominate at all. If you go look at the other games, he was murdering people, but they all sucked. Played Clemson, or I mean, not Clemson, Syracuse, boo-boo. Florida State was like 500, ran for like 180, maybe 200, but they were one of the worst teams in the country anyway. 13 catches in 3 years. Doesn't do that for me at all. That means he's literally just a one-dimensional running back. And if you really watch, they say he breaks tackles, but dude is the weakest 247-pound dude I've literally ever seen.
He's like an empty can.
Yeah, like I've seen him get tackled behind the line by like a fucking strong safety on a safety blitz that picks him up. Let's see what I mean. Carries wise, I mean he's had 845 carries in 3 years, so he's been used a lot.
That's a lot of tread.
That's a lot of tread, but he doesn't. Like I said, like Anthony was saying, like you're in college, you do well, but 95% of the dudes he faced aren't in the NFL. So, just the competition that he faced, he played Kansas, Richmond, like boo-boo teams, and the conference they're in isn't very good, and they didn't do very good. I just, he is a big boy, and he did test well. If you're like a big combine person and that's all you look at, then do it. Oh, another good, I mean, I guess 22 carries for 118 against Louisville would be his best game. But I'm not that impressed with him. I mean, I want to see it in the NFL. I mean, I think Jamal Williams is better than him still. Like, people forget Jamal Williams is on the Packers, and when he was given the chance last year, he did well for like 6 weeks.
Yeah, I feel like every
Kai's
week
boy.
we would do a waiver wire, and I would talk about Jamal
Like,
Williams every single week.
he
'cause
was balling.
especially in PPR. He was getting you like 10+ points every single
Yeah.
week. He's a good flex guy at least.
Yeah, so the one thing, so I don't retract, or as far as, contradict, the good thing is, as far as for him being on the Packers, the Packers haven't given a second contract to a running back since James Starks. I want to say 2010 when he went on that crazy run in the playoffs. He's the last running back they've given a second contract to. So the signs of them signing Aaron Jones, who knows, but he might be in position to be the guy. For his size, he's not a Derrick Henry guy. Like, he might be built like him, but he's just not that kind of runner to me.
Not even close.
Yeah, so competition, if you put AJ Dillon in the SEC, dude is not doing what he's doing. Not even close. Not even close.
Yeah, I think maybe they went out and drafted him because, like you just touched on, the Packers haven't re-upped the contract for a running back since James Stark. What is that? That's going to be
10 years ago.
10 years ago. So Aaron Jones coming up on a contract deal. I think people are so overblown on Aaron Jones, but obviously that guy, first year that he's actually stayed healthy, because prior to last year, 2 years in a row where he's finished on IR. So I can't imagine a scenario where he comes out and he's like, hey, I want 10+ million. The Packers are probably going to be like, go fuck yourself. You can't even stay healthy, only 1 year.
Yeah, maybe not the year 2010, but the last one was James Starks. Whenever
Yeah.
it was, he was the last one to get
So
it.
I think that they obviously drafted AJ Dillon knowing, hey, we're probably not going to pay Aaron Jones after this year, so he could be the guy going forward. So are you more worried like for dynasty in general, or like in general, dynasty, redrafts, both, or?
With him, I want to see it first. Like I said, he's a big, like the numbers, all that shit looks good. But look at Corey Davis at receiver. He looked really good. Went top 10. Sucks. Didn't translate. Small school, not good competition. I just want to see it. I don't know. They're just other guys that I would like more than him. I mean, he has obviously the physical attributes to be good, but I don't know. Put it this way, if he was that good, he would have gone higher if he was this fucking big and that fast and doing what he did. Like, why didn't he go higher?
Yeah, speaking of dynasty, I would target Aaron Jones in dynasty. I think he is legit like one of the most talented running backs.
He's only 25 too.
He's legit led the he's Pro Football Focus top 3 running backs last in breakaway. He's like a Chubb. He's he just does everything legit top. So if I'm in a dynasty, he's someone that you said the Packers don't re-sign people. If he can go to an ideal situation, let's just say next
Chargers.
Yeah, let's just say next year Brady's still there and he goes to Tampa Bay. If he was in Tampa Bay's offense this year, he'd be we'd be all over him.
Yeah,
and knowing
sure,
he's a
yeah.
starting back, so he's someone I'm if I'm in a dynasty, I'm willing to take a shot on him.
Yeah, and if the Packers re-sign Jones,
You don't have to pay a full price like you normally do with a premium running back because people are probably a little lower on Aaron Jones.
because
They're
of his
probably
injury history.
His injury history, he's not going to be there next year. It's so I think he's someone in a dynasty league I would target 100%.
Yeah, but you're saying the metrics are nice,
Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I think
There's no arguing the talent when you see it on the
Yeah.
field. He's just,
sure.
receiving, rushing. He's
efficient.
He's a monster.
I mean, regression should be coming based on his touchdown per touches.
But then you also
but he's
get
still
the-
good. But he's still good though.
But he's
still
he's
good.
been a monster. Regression is coming, but he's been a monster in the
Yeah.
red zone his whole career.
Yeah, no, he's good.
It's like Zeke. You can there's just some players where you just at a point. It's like this motherfucker is just legit in the red zone. So it's I do agree regression is coming. The reason I'm trying not to go too low on him, even with the AJ Dillon drafting, is because I don't believe in AJ Dillon's talent at all.
Yeah.
Like you said, it's oh, here comes AJ. Dude, he's down. Oh, dude, he touched me. Oh, I'm down, dude. Oh, dude.
I feel like half the tackles he broke is because the dudes that he was running, I was oh shit, he's big. But in the NFL, that shit is not happening.
No, his tape was very, very unimpressive.
Yeah,
I
dudes-
don't even think he beats out Jamal Williams. I don't even think he beats out the guy behind
Yeah.
Jamal Williams. To be honest, that's how unimpressed I was. So to me, it's I don't know what Aaron Jones' role is going to be. So I was getting more on the dynasty aspect. Of
No,
it.
yeah, no, for sure.
But yeah, I'm on your side with the whole thing.
Aaron Jones,
I'm fading.
if anywhere he goes, he'll be coveted. I think the Packers' leverage is going to be if he stays healthy this year, that's going to for sure help him. 'Cause if he doesn't, they're going to be you've been hurt 3 of the last 4
yeah,
years.
the injury history is
So he needs to
for
stay
sure a
healthy
red
and he'll
flag.
get paid. He'll get paid.
Yeah.
Probably not the Packers though, but he'll for sure get his
If
money.
you went somewhere like the Falcons and Matt Ryan was still there and Gurley went somewhere else, there's some situations where he
'cause-
could be
Yeah, 20 like you
in
said,
a-
25 years old. You got years in you
There's
still.
some situations where I'd trade for him because, you think about it. Some people were oh, dude, he's done after this year. They have AJ Dillon, they have Jamal Williams. If you're a dynasty owner, so that's what I'm saying. Dynasty, I think he's someone you could probably buy.
buy low
buy
right
low.
now. Actually, you can buy low
and
right
he
now.
might not be much worse than he was last year. He might actually be more consistent potentially because he might get a more consistent workload.
yards, yeah.
The
Yards
yards
wise.
might come. The touchdowns might vary out, but they might steady out. So he could be a little bit more consistent. So in a dynasty, he's someone I would target.
for sure. He's just too big to be in the 3rd round. You know what I'm saying? If he
Are you
was as good,
concerned that he vultures some touchdowns from Aaron Jones? Even
For
though maybe he's
sure.
not that good, maybe when they're getting closer,
No.
they're like, hey, let's bring in the big boy. when we're getting
Maybe
close.
when I watched how bad he was.
yeah. I mean,
But
yeah.
obviously,
he
the
is.
Packers see something that they're willing,
Yes,
willing
no,
to go
you're-
get some.
you're right with
They'll
that.
give him a
draft capital
shot.
on him. So
They'll give
maybe when they get close, maybe they think okay, we don't want to have these goal line collisions with Aaron Jones because he is so versatile and from 20 to 20 or 10 to 10 in a sense. So let's bring in the big boy when we get closer, maybe to limit a little bit of contact for Aaron Jones, so we can keep him healthy for a full 16 games. So we can keep him healthy to make a Super Bowl run.
Yeah.
So maybe are you a little worried about he vultures some touchdowns?
Potentially. But then it's
And the only reason is because of where they drafted him. 3rd round, they're gonna try to use him somewhere just to justify,
They
their
gotta prove themselves
decision.
right
Yeah, they got to
somewhere,
justify
yeah.
their decision somewhere. So maybe that's where it's at. But I mean, listen, training camp happens. They're not gonna just put him in there if he's the 3rd best. If Jamal Williams and Jones are better than him, then they should be playing. But
Yeah.
he'll get his. He's big as
Aaron
fuck.
Jones is on the level of when it comes to red zone, he's on that Dalvin Cook, Ezekiel Elliott level. He's no joke in the red zone. He's scored, I think, 30. I did it was 38 touchdowns in 43 games. He's legit.
He's got a nose for the end zone.
He's got a nose for the end zone 100%. So
Yeah, big ass.
I think if he's gonna take it, it has to it has to be really
It was
fast.
not a flub.
He has to legit AJ Dillon has to come in and just score 3 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns. If he struggles, Aaron Rodgers is gonna go up. I'm gonna be wrong on Aaron Rodgers because he's gonna throw more touchdowns, or it's gonna go straight back to Aaron Jones.
Yeah.
So I think that window is very small and very slim. So I'm not too worried about it. 100% Aaron Jones' touchdowns are coming down, but I'm not too worried about his touchdowns being slain to 4 because I don't think AJ Dillon's a huge threat.
No. Yeah.
He's
He has a cool running back name.
Listen,
name.
AJ Dillon's a huge guy, but he's not a huge threat when it comes to taking over the Green Bay Packers backfield. Am I right, boys?
You're right.
And dude, and honestly, and they say in the comments, Mike doesn't add to the podcast, and they're fucking.
Dude, who said that?
Dude, where?
There was no fucking flub.
There's no fucking flub.
Nobody says
Yeah,
that.
like I said, his name is cool, but that's it. It's probably because of Corey Dillon. That's probably the only reason I like it. But yeah, no, like another one. I'd rather be wrong and not have you.
Yeah. For sure. All right. So those are just a couple of the guys that we like, rookie wise, and a couple guys that we don't like, or the draft price for this year is a little too high.
A little too high, baby.
But
Love it.
And that's is that all she wrote, boys?
and I think
For
that-
today's episode.
I think
that's
so.
all she wrote.
Oh.
All right. Well, I just want to say thank you for listening to the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast. We forgot to mention in the beginning of the podcast, but we are the #1 podcast of all podcasts, not just fantasy football podcasts. Every single podcast, we're #1. We are #1.
In the
Got us.
universe.
Forgot to write that on the checklist for you, baby.
Did we? We forgot.
But thank you for listening. If you haven't already, subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you tune into the live stream, we appreciate you. Go ahead and like the video. It helps it out big time.
It helps it out big time. Big time. Big time.
Big time. Go ahead and subscribe to us on the Apple Podcast app. If you're there, leave us a rating. Leave us a review on the Apple Podcast app. It also helps us out. It helps us out big time.
Still, send me a screenshot of you following, and maybe I'll send you in and out.
Oh, I
Got you.
yeah.
I'll send it to you.
Dre will send you
for
in and
free.
out.
Hey, when
follow
you're
us
faded,
on-
that shit sounds good. I'm telling you.
It really is. Faded like we faded AJ Dillon in our rookie rankings. No, but we forgot to mention earlier, but me and Tyler were talking. We're going to do a listener league, so details will come out later on for that. So we're going to randomly pick some people for that. So pay attention, stay tuned for that. And if you want to know more information about that, follow us on Instagram, and we'll post that stuff there. Follow us on Twitter, all that good stuff. All these links are down in the description below. Once again, thank you for listening. This has been the AVG Fantasy Football Podcast, Season 3, Episode 27. Rookies,
with my
NFL
hands.
headlines, baby.
It's episode 3, right?
Yeah, it's season 10.
Whatever. We got it.
We're out, boys.
27.
Please.